The first WrestleMania set the stage for everything that was to follow.
All the way around the world. Now you know what it's all about, brother.
Celebrities were out in full force, showing that this was the place to be. WrestleMania 2 pushed the boundaries, taking place in 3 different locations: New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, delivering 3 huge main events. But it would be WrestleMania 3 in 1987 that truly displayed WrestleMania's full potential. And for our first match of the 2K24 showcase of the Immortals, we go into the first verified WrestleMania Classic, the legendary clash for the WWE Intercontinental Championship between champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, and his challenger, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Intercontinental champion since February of 1986, Savage tore through anyone who challenged him. That included a successful defense against George the Animal Steele at WrestleMania 2. A clash between Savage and Steamboat during a late 1986 edition of Superstars would see the Macho Man retain via countout, but that wasn't good enough. He would launch a vicious attack on the Dragon after the match, taking him out of action. Savage would attempt to duplicate the attack on Steamboat's friend and former opponent George Steele during the first Saturday night's main event of 1987. Fortunately for the Animal, Ricky would make his well-timed return for the save, leading to the rematch between the two at WrestleMania. What transpired between the two combatants can only be described as art. A fast-paced, high-action classic unfolded in front of 90,000 plus in attendance, with both men coming so very close to victory on a number of occasions. Would Savage be able to turn back the challenge of his angry opponent? Would Ricky Steamboat get revenge? These questions would be answered over the next 15 grueling minutes. And when it was over, everyone in attendance and those watching at home knew they had been a part of something special. The two superstars would forever be etched in history following the match, with Ricky Steamboat finally putting an end to the Macho Man's historic reign. It was all action from the moment the bell rang, and these two didn't give each other a second to rest. Ricky Steamboat fighting to avenge a career-jeopardizing attack months earlier by not only defeating Savage in the ring, but also ending his reign as Intercontinental Champion. The aggression was almost uncharacteristic from Steamboat. Was Steamboat too angry? Would that lead him to making a costly mistake? Was Steamboat too focused on hurting Savage and not on winning the match? Had the Dragon taken enough time to recover in the first place, or had he rushed back in the hopes of humiliating the Macho Man under WrestleMania's bright lights? Surely the presence of Miss Elizabeth's not-so-secret admirer, George the Animal Steele, is going to be a distraction to the Macho Man, who looked to keep Steele away from his manager at all times. Could Savage shut all that out and lock in on his challenger? Despite the external factors, these two appeared to be firing on all cylinders once they settled in. There was a real sense that this match could be, and was going to be, something special. The fans were captivated by the constant back-and-forth battle, with no one really able to maintain any type of control in the early portion of the match. The Macho Man appeared almost thankful to get a moment to himself after dumping Steamboat back to the floor, letting you know that Savage understood he was in a fight unlike any other he'd been in before. Things were only getting started. The Macho Man was trying everything, and that included fighting dirty, but Steamboat continued to have an answer at every turn. Steamboat's counter-wrestling had smothered Savage's offense, and the building frustration was obvious on the face of the Macho Man. In a match this closely contested, one small mistake can be a game-changer, and Savage's frustration led to him making a big one, charging at Steamboat only to be backdropped to the floor. Steamboat finally had a huge opportunity to pour on the pressure and put Savage away. Once the referee went down, there was a real sense of panic. Savage quickly hits his flying elbow, but obviously there was no official to count. The Dragon was grounded for now, but there was no way Savage had already put his fire out. After all the two had gone through, how was it going to end? Looking to take advantage of the situation, the Macho Man looked to use the ring bell on the fallen Dragon, only to be intercepted by George the Animal Steel. Macho Man, choosing to retaliate against Steel instead of getting back to Steamboat, ultimately ends up being the decision that costs him. A then-record Intercontinental Championship reign comes to a bitter end for Savage, who wasn't thrilled about the manner in which he lost. And Steamboat's counter wrestling remains the key to this match, once again getting him out of trouble and earning him the victory. Hard to feel bad about a guy who tried to use the ring bell twice. This match, over 35 years later, is still a certified classic. The athleticism is incredible.
Continental Champion, Rick the Dragon Steamboat.
Long tortured by Randy Savage, both the Dragon and the Animal's elation is easy to see as they're carted back to the locker room. Put this match on a loop and I'd never get bored. I love Steamboat versus Savage.
The clash between the Dragon and the Macho Man was a jaw-dropping battle between two of WWE's technical masters, an instant classic by all measures. But when the dust had settled and after the smoke had cleared, after Steamboat was carted off proudly holding his Intercontinental Championship above his head, the realization set in. We still have Hulk Hogan against Andre the Giant. Featuring two of WWE's biggest stars at the time, this was the headliner that brought those 90,000 people together in the first place.
Everybody has their best day at WrestleMania. That's the creme de la creme. WrestleMania, main event, there's nothing else in this world like it.
Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant were great friends for years. Andre famously poured the bubbly all over Hogan when he captured the WWE Championship in January of 1984, and the two were nearly inseparable from then on. The two would be presented with trophies in separate weeks. Hogan was given one for reigning as champion for 3 years, while Andre received one for going 15 years without losing. For both ceremonies, Andre was not his usual self, first noting to Hogan that 3 years to be a champion, it's a long time, and ultimately walking out of his own trophy celebration when Hogan arrived to praise Andre's accomplishments. The world was on edge, waiting to see what comes next. Soon after, Andre would appear with Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Wait, what's going on here? Hold on, man. What are you doing with him?
Heenan had gotten to Andre, fanning the flames of resentment that burned inside.
Did you ever once in your life offer him a championship match?
A heartbroken Hogan tried to reason with his friend, but with one move, yanking Hogan's chain from his neck, it was clear there was no turning back.
There's nothing else like getting in the ring with Andre the Giant. It is the great unknown. When you get there and you're with Andre the Giant, you're outmatched, you're outsized, you're outpowered. It's an uphill battle, so you have to fight from underneath. You have to have everything in sync, body, mind, and soul, to survive fighting an opponent like Andre the Giant. When I slammed Andre the Giant, I was surprised how the crowd reacted. 94,000 people lost their breath and gasped at the same time. It overwhelmed me in the ring. It's etched in stone. It's just overwhelming how many people every day approach me and talk about WrestleMania 3.
Now it's up to you to do the impossible and defeat Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. It truly is the irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
It felt like time stood still once the bell rang, and Hogan and Andre approached each other in the center of the ring. It was finally here, the reason all these people were in the arena.
The dominant 3-year WWE champion and the man who'd gone undefeated for 15 years about to collide. Who would strike first? Everything was amplified here. Andre's shove felt thunderous. Then, everyone held their breath when Hogan tried and failed to body slam Andre, nearly losing the match in the process. Could Hogan slam Andre? Would he try it again? Did he hurt his back or his knees in that failed lift? Andre, thinking he'd won the match, would have to recompose and get back on the task of taking out the Hulkster. Hogan had dealt with bigger opponents before, but really seemed to struggle with Andre's size and power advantage. Every shot Andre landed crumbled Hogan. Andre had just been dominant to this point, but an ill-advised trip to the ringside area would see Andre make his first real misstep, throwing a headbutt at Hogan that only ate ring post. With little success in the match to this point, Hogan would look for a pile driver of all things. But Andre easily backdropped him to the floor. If Andre could shake off headbutting the ring post so quickly, what was it going to take to keep him down for a 3 count? Hulkamania was looking to be in deep, deep trouble. That moment where Hogan finally takes Andre down with the clothesline and seeing Andre timber to the mat, that's when it seemed like Hogan winning was a real possibility again. But he had to act right now or Andre would recover. Bobby Heenan screaming at Andre while he's down let you know the brain knew it too. And then you see Hogan start shaking his arms and you're just thinking there's no way. But there is. And then it happens. Hulk Hogan lifts Andre the Giant up and body slams him. Nobody thought he could do it. One of the most magical moments in WWE history. Hogan was in full control of this match.
Here is your winner, and still the WWE Heavyweight Champion, the Immortal, Hogan!
And WrestleMania 3 ends with real American blasting, a Hulk Hogan pose down, and Andre the Giant and Bobby Heenan stunned in their failure. One of the most important matches not only in WrestleMania history, but WWE history itself. Up next, we jump ahead to WrestleMania 5 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Those with tickets didn't know it as they entered the venue that evening, but they were about to witness one of WrestleMania's biggest upsets take place right in front of their eyes. The Ultimate Warrior captured the WWE Intercontinental Championship at the inaugural SummerSlam in 1988 by blitzing the Honky Tonk Man, ending his record reign in a little over 30 seconds. Since then, he seemed unstoppable, a lock to become WWE Champion one day. Two people who were not impressed were ravishing Rick Rude and his manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan. The 1987 Slammy Award winner for Best Body felt that Warrior was nothing special, both in-ring and even in terms of physique. This led to Rude challenging Warrior to a super pose down at the 1989 Royal Rumble, where the winner would be decided by the WWE Universe's approval. Pretty quickly, it was clear that the Ultimate Warrior was going to be crowned the people's choice, and Rude was livid. He'd launch a vicious attack, bringing the competition to an abrupt end. That would lead to the signing of the contract for the two to compete in the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania 5, and the world felt that Warrior would destroy his brash challenger. But Heenan and Rude were more than prepared for the champion. Heenan was desperate to have WWE Gold in his vaunted Heenan family ranks, and he knew that the Ravishing One was the right man for the job. They told anyone who'd listened that Rude was going to beat the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania, and now the time had come. Had they backed Warrior into a corner, or were they about to realize they'd bitten off far more than they could chew? That's a question only you can answer.
Warrior wasted no time, rushing at Rude the second he entered the ring. There would be no feeling out, no tentative lockups here. Warrior was here to make Rude pay for what he'd said, and especially what he'd done. And he was going to do that with some of the freakiest power ever displayed in WWE. The way he absolutely manhandled Rude was a sight to behold. No one had done this to Rude before. All the confidence had been drained from the faces of Rude and Bobby Heenan, as Ultimate Warrior had steamrolled his challenger in the opening moments. Rude had struggled to this point, but his luck was going to change in an instant. Warrior hit the ropes 3 times before attempting his big splash, giving Rude just enough time to get his knees up and block the attack. Big-time ring awareness shown by the Ravishing One to keep himself in the match. Rude needed to take advantage here because his opportunities for offense were few and far between. Rude looked to put Warrior away with the Rude Awakening. And then Warrior just powers out of it. Pushes Rude's arms away like they're nothing. No one had ever seen that done. All the momentum now with the Warrior, and he's looking to punish Rude a little bit more before ending the match. Rude looks completely out of it, and even Bobby Heenan looks flustered. Rude is trying to survive, trying to escape, but Warrior is relentless. Warrior's throwing Rude all over the place when it happens. One last act of desperation from Bobby Heenan turns this match on its head. He trips Warrior and hangs onto his boots for dear life. Warrior can't kick out. Just like that, Heenan and Rude have stolen the Intercontinental Championship from the Ultimate Warrior in front of a completely stunned crowd. Rude smartly took his new championship and headed for the locker room. But Bobby Heenan, on the other hand, would not be so lucky, further incurring the wrath of an angry Ultimate Warrior. And while the now former Intercontinental Champion would chase the new title holder right out of the arena, nothing could diminish the huge upset that night at WrestleMania 5, with Ravishing Rick and Bobby the Brain pulling a fast one.
Hogan to talk about the night the Mega Powers exploded.
The lines were so blurry between reality and what we were trying to accomplish. He was
Hogan came into this match incensed, and the Macho Man looked to use that to his advantage early. With months of payback heading his way, Savage was evasive and defensive to the bull rush tactics of Hogan, appearing to frustrate the challenger. Hogan had a look in his eye that night. You could tell he wanted to hurt Savage. And Savage also wasn't shy about using Miss Elizabeth to his advantage, flagrantly bringing her into harm's way to stop Hogan in his tracks. Savage was playing by nobody's rules but his own. And if Hogan was going to get any revenge, he'd have to find a way to keep his own temper in check. Savage was showing early on that his approach would be as chaotic as possible. And now a once rampaging Hogan had slowed things down, looking to restore some order. The Macho Man's actions sent a clear message that anything goes and anyone would be fair game. Savage had, for the moment, managed to turn the tide with a well-placed boot. Now Savage wanted to slow things down, but this also gave him a chance to talk directly to Hogan. To remind Hogan of what he'd done to him at the main event. To rub in Hogan's face the fact that the Macho Man is the WWE Champion. That he knows Hogan is jealous of him and always has been. To look over at Miss Elizabeth and taunt her, because Savage doesn't for 1 second believe that she's neutral at all. The Macho Man was getting some energy back while slowly sucking the life out of Hogan. Could the cheers of the Hulkamaniacs get him back to his feet? Hogan would get back on the attack once he broke free. Why not go for the leg drop? Hogan's flash of offense is extinguished as quickly as it started, and Randy Savage seemed to have Hogan on the brink of exhaustion in their mega power collision. In one of the more surprising moments of this match, Miss Elizabeth proves herself true to her word, stopping Hogan from running Savage into the ring post, maintaining her neutral status. The Macho Man would take advantage of Hogan's reluctance. Once again, Savage showed no regard for the safety of Liz. Fed up with her presence, Savage would insist to the referee that she be removed. and she'd be escorted back to the locker room. Having his constant distraction removed seemed to invigorate Savage. He was looking to put the finishing touches on what had been a master class to that point. Just moments away from showing that it was Savage who was the true force of the Mega Powers, not Hogan. Looking to set up his vaunted flying elbow, Savage would target Hogan's throat. Hulkamaniacs knew to never lose hope, but it wasn't looking good for Hogan here. The Macho Man looked better than he ever had, seemingly on the verge of his biggest victory yet.
Here is your winner, and the new WWE Champion, the Immortal, Hogan!
The sports entertainment world could only brace for impact as Savage and Hogan battled, and when it was over, a common WrestleMania sight was seen. Hulk Hogan celebrating in the ring with the WWE Championship back in his possession. And as the 1980s gave way to the 90s, around the world there was a real sense of looking for the next big thing. The newest, the coolest, the fastest, the strongest, anything to show where the future was. This was also the case in WWE. Amongst the members of the WWE Universe, many saw the Ultimate Warrior as the heir apparent to the throne that Hulk Hogan had occupied for 6 years. The untamed superstar appeared capable of matching Hogan's strength and had dominated all other opponents. Even that loss we relived at WrestleMania 5 against Rick Rude, yeah, he avenged that just a few months later at SummerSlam, regaining the Intercontinental Championship in the process. But this talk all seemed like fantasy, only existing as a dream match. Hogan and Warrior weren't enemies, and for either of them to turn against the other would run against the strict codes of honor to which both men claimed to adhere. All of that changed in the 1990 Royal Rumble match. It was brief, but for a moment the only two men in the ring were, you guessed it, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. The crowd went nuts, and these two stared at each other for a minute before circling up. Two running tackles led nowhere, and then a double clothesline floored both men, ending things before they could really get started between the two. That small taste, though, was all the world of sports entertainment needed to know that they wanted more. Even more interesting, it would be Hulk Hogan who would challenge the Ultimate Warrior to a contest at WrestleMania 6.
Ultimate Warrior, me and my Hulkamaniacs put the championship on the line.
Hogan openly stated that he needed to know which power was truly the strongest in WWE, his or that of the Warrior. Adding to the stakes was the stipulation that both the WWE and Intercontinental Championships would be up for grabs, leaving the winner with supreme claim to lead WWE into the next decade. All right, now it's your turn to try and shock all the little Hulkamaniacs out there and try to beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6. Can you harness the power of the Ultimate Warrior? There's only one way to find out.
I'm pretty sure the last thing anyone expected from Hogan versus Warrior was a crisscross, but this is WWE, and anything can happen. Ultimate Warrior rising to his feet immediately after being body slammed was such an iconic moment. But it was absolutely crazy to see them do a second crisscross. And when Warrior returned the body slam to Hogan, it hurt the Hulkster. He didn't pop up the way Warrior had. Just the difference in reactions between the body slams, you could sense that change was in the air. Seeing Hogan struggle like this wasn't something the WWE Universe was used to. After the clothesline sent him crashing to the floor, Hogan appeared to hurt his knee, the last thing he needed. Ultimate Warrior was here to prove that his hype was real. Warrior was going to run right through Hogan at this pace. When Warrior and Hogan clotheslined each other, you could hear a pin drop. Now you're wondering, who's going to get up first? Is Hogan as hurt as he seems to be? Does Warrior have the gas in the tank to pull through in this moment? Remember, Hogan's had many championship matches, and he knows what it takes. He can use the time to get his breath back. And then Warrior sits up, and half of the arena goes crazy while the other half lets out a defeated groan. Ultimate Warrior looking every bit the dominant superstar, getting to his feet while Hogan stays down. The Hulkster was running out of magic. Could he find one more iconic comeback? Hogan had been out-muscled by opponents before, but they were usually 7 feet tall or 400+ pounds. Seeing Ultimate Warrior control Hogan in this bear hug was another one of those moments where you just knew what was coming. Hogan just could not break free from Warrior no matter what he tried. It was a smart play by the Warrior too, able to rest himself while dealing out crushing punishment to the Hulkster. Warrior to this point had only been known for running through opponents in quick, brutal outbursts. He was showing more of a tactical side here, and it was paying off. Ultimate Warrior was showing that the moment wasn't too big for him. He wasn't trying to rush anything. With two of WWE's most popular superstars competing, the WWE Universe was divided. And right when Hogan finally gets his chance and manages to break Warrior's grip, the referee gets flattened, and now there's no one to count falls. As Warrior lifted Hogan up, things were looking perilous for the Hulkster. The Hulkamaniacs were hoping for one last gasp from Hogan. And they got it. Hogan kicking out at 2. A familiar sight as Hogan begins to shrug off the attack of the Warrior, slowly getting back to his feet. You know the deal. 3 big rights. The big boot. And then Hogan misses the leg drop. Hogan crashes hard to the mat. Now it was just up to the Ultimate Warrior to fulfill his destiny. Could he defeat Hulk Hogan?
Ladies and gentlemen, here is your WWE Intercontinental and the WWE Champion, the Ultimate Warrior!
An incredible victory for the Ultimate Warrior there, becoming the first superstar to hold the WWE and Intercontinental Championships at the same time. A truly historic feat on the grandest stage of them all. A victory that signaled a new wave of change that was about to hit all of WWE. Roddy Piper managed to change his luck in WWE when he captured his first championship in the company at the 1992 Royal Rumble. The wrestling world rejoiced for Hot Rod as the fiery superstar showed true emotion in the moment, revealing how much it meant to him. Once the most reviled man on the roster, he was now appreciated for his authenticity. Everyone was happy for him, except for one guy. Bret the Hitman Hart had changed his status in WWE in the spring and summer of 1991. When his legendary Hart Foundation amicably split the team, Bret would use the opportunity to springboard up the singles rankings, winning the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam that year. Wanting to be an active champion, Bret faced off against all comers, finding victory each time out. Until a few nights prior to the 1992 Royal Rumble, when Hart lost the Intercontinental Championship. And before he could get a rematch, Piper had swooped in and won the thing. The last thing the Hitman wanted to do was ruin Roddy Piper's moment. The two were close. Piper had trained in the family dungeon and spoke glowingly of not only Bret, but his entire family.
I gotta tell you how much I love your family. I gotta tell you how much I love your mom. I knowed you, I know this guy since he's been knee-high to a grasshopper.
Respectfully, the two agreed to compete at WrestleMania 8, which would emanate from Indianapolis, Indiana. But Piper understood that many felt Bret lost that title at less than 100%, and that he'd have to defeat Hart in the ring to get those people on his side. And while both men claimed they'd keep it respectful, most everyone understood what happens when you push Roddy Piper to the edge. And trying to take something from Roddy Piper is one way to do it, especially when it's the first title he ever held in WWE. And so it was Bret Hart's technical mastery against Roddy Piper's street fighting in an unheralded classic was produced by two absolute masters of their craft. And while they both tried to keep it friendly, you just knew it wasn't gonna last. Nearly 20 furious minutes of action unfolded between the two, each with near victories along the way. Blood, sweat, and tears was never more appropriate. The two gave their all on the goal of earning the WWE Intercontinental Championship. So, get in there and do your best to beat Roddy Piper to the punch. But beating Hot Rod is no easy task, even if you are the best there is, the best there was, or the best there ever will be. Heading into the match, the smart money was on Roddy Piper, resorting to his brawling tactics.
but he looked to try and wrestle with Bret Hart at the start, which led to predictable results with Bret outmaneuvering Piper. A fuming Piper would spit at the Hitman. Would Piper's desire to win and be champion override his desire to play fair? Could Hart use Piper's legendary temper as a constant exploit? Piper was already reverting to the man people knew him to be, and Hart was looking to exploit that fiery temper by embarrassing Piper as often as possible. Piper continued to show glimpses of the old Hot Rod, but still tried to play by the rules. He was desperate to remain champion, but his respect for Hart and his family kept him from unleashing that old demon inside. And Hart used that to his advantage, tricking Piper by feigning a shoulder injury after landing awkwardly on a dropkick. Piper, understandably, was not amused by this one bit. Piper slapped the taste out of Hart for gold-bricking, as Bobby Heenan famously called it, and this once friendly competition was turning into the heated brawl many figured it would become. The tension was growing between the two, but they were still trying to keep it sportsmanlike. The Hitman sent both tumbling to the floor with a crossbody. Piper would respond by holding the ropes for Hart to re-enter. Hart was hesitant, but ultimately accepted. And that was the information Piper needed, that Hart trusted him. Piper would immediately violate that trust by telling Bret his boot was untied and unloading a huge sucker punch. The gloves were off, and the two were in a fight for survival. Hart wanted to use little tricks, while Piper just suckered him with the old, "your shoe's untied." A huge shot from Piper, and it looks like the Hitman may be busted open. With tempers boiling, Piper manages this well-timed shove of Hart to knock the official down. And if you think that was accidental, then you don't know Roddy Piper. As soon as the official goes down, you see the old Hot Rod start to appear. He's brawling with Hart at ringside. He's throwing him into the ring steps. And then he grabs the ring bell. Hart's down on the mat, can barely move, and Piper's telling him to get up. As you see the sneer on Piper's face, like, "This is your fault, man." As Piper measures Hart up for the bell shot, you can see the inner struggle. What would the Hart family think about this? What would your fans think about this? How could you look Bret Hart in the eye if you win it this way? And he keeps lifting the bell as if he's going to use it, and you're wondering which Roddy Piper is going to win out, the angel or the devil. And then he does the right thing and tosses the bell aside. In an instant, he's got Hart in a sleeper hold. Piper has Hart beat. But the Hitman had one more counter up his sleeve, trapping Piper in the pinning combination while still in the sleeper hold. More amazing was how the instant the match was over, the respect between the two immediately returned.
A somewhat forgotten classic sees the excellence of execution using every last trick in his repertoire to pull out the victory over Roddy Piper. And WrestleMania 8 sees a rare pinfall loss for Hot Rod, but an even rarer display of professionalism from him makes the moment all the more memorable. Up next on this WrestleMania train down memory lane, we go to WrestleMania 10 in New York City and the first ladder match to ever take place at WrestleMania. Shawn Michaels captured his first Intercontinental Championship with a big win over the British Bulldog on Saturday night's main event in the fall of 1992. But in the fall of 1993, Michaels would be stripped of the championship due to inactivity. As the Heartbreak Kid watched from the sidelines, Razor Ramon would capture the vacant championship. At the 1993 Survivor Series, Michaels would announce that he was back and that he only had one mission: to humiliate Razor Ramon, who he considered to be a fake champion. Having never been defeated in the ring, HBK still believed he was the rightful Intercontinental Champion.
There is only one undisputed Intercontinental Champion, and it is the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
Never one to back down from a fight, Ramon was more than ready to face Michaels anytime, any place. But Shawn wanted to play games with the bad guy, interfering in his matches and even performing Ramon's vaunted Razor's Edge finisher to taunt him. Shawn was also very open about relying on his 7-foot monster of a bodyguard, Diesel, to help him get through any tough situations. WWE officials, forced with figuring out how to decide who the true Intercontinental Champion was, came to a decision. Both championship titles would be suspended above the ring in a ladder match. The winner would be the first superstar able to incapacitate their opponent long enough to climb the ladder, grab both championships, and finally settle the issue once and for all. This matchup would see both men use everything they could to stop the other, including the ladder repeatedly. It was used as a battering ram, even as a perch from which to dive for a huge splash. Both Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels laid it all on the line in this epic clash, leaving everyone breathless with each new flurry of offense. So, you're gonna have to do your best to deal with not only a Mr. WrestleMania who wants his Intercontinental Championship, but also with the menacing Diesel at ringside. Stay focused, and maybe you'll be oozing enough machismo to climb that ladder of success.
Razor Ramon was looking to prove that despite never defeating Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship, he was still the real champion. Shawn Michaels had a clear game plan for this match. With no rules, he'd be able to receive assists from his bodyguard Diesel. No disqualifications in a ladder match means it's not cheating. The second Michaels tossed Ramon to the floor, that plan was put into action with Diesel attacking the bad guy. Unfortunately for Shawn, the official decided that wasn't going to work. Despite Diesel's arguments, the WWE official decided to kick Big Daddy Cool out of the ringside area. Shawn had talked a lot about being the real champion. And now, without his 7-foot backup, he was going to have to back those words up himself. This distraction bought Ramon enough time to recover and send HBK flying with a huge right hand. Ramon floors Michaels, and now with Diesel banned from ringside, it looks like the Heartbreak Kid needs a new plan for the bad guy. Heading into this match, a lot of people wondered how the ladder would come into play, and it didn't take long for Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels to answer that question. Razor placed the ladder on the apron to re-enter the ring, and that gave Shawn the opening he needed to launch a baseball slide dropkick that sent the ladder crashing into Ramon's ribs. Had Razor even considered that type of offense from Shawn in his preparations? Had Shawn practiced that very move? He appeared ready to strike the second the ladder was laid down. Clearly, any moment with a ladder nearby was going to be dangerous, and one would need to always be aware of their opponent's location. With his bigger, stronger opponent struggling to breathe, Michaels would be able to build his own momentum. Michaels started to realize that as long as he used the ladders to his advantage, the lack of Diesel's presence wouldn't be as detrimental as he first thought. Knowing Ramon now had a weak point, Michaels crashes that ladder right into the ribs of Ramon, and he has completely turned the tide of this match. You could see it on the faces of Razor's fans, who sat in disbelief as Shawn took control. Both men had looked to hit the other with a ladder in a variety of ways, but Shawn Michaels was about to shock the crowd with a different approach to ladder-based offense. With Ramon down, Michaels would climb the ladder near the corner and come crashing down under Ramon's already weakened ribs. Why waste all that energy swinging the ladder around when you can just climb it and jump off from great heights, right? Michaels, thinking it was over, began to climb. Now, normally Michaels may have gone for the cover, and he may have even won the match after such an incredible move. But with ladder matches, it's not that easy. So even with Ramon in great pain, he was able to find enough fight in him to get to his knees and topple the ladder over. Shawn Michaels could see the match starting to slip away, but instead of panicking, he'd look for an opening. Reversing a Razor Ramon attack, he'd plant the bad guy with a devastating pile driver. HBK wanted to show off one other trick, bringing the ladder with him over to the corner. Shawn was in clear control here. I'd never seen anything like this before, and it's still jaw-dropping today. He didn't just climb the ladder. He'd proceed to fall with the ladder beneath him onto the downed Ramon. It was now or never for Razor Ramon as his grasp on the Intercontinental Championship appeared to be slipping.
Here is your winner, and the undisputed WWE Intercontinental Champion, the Bad Guy, Razor Ramon.
One of WrestleMania's greatest collisions comes to its scintillating conclusion with Razor Ramon just managing to outlast Shawn Michaels, claiming possession of the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 10. The latter match would open the door for future classics, like the TLC and Money in the Bank matches as well, forever sealing its place in WrestleMania lore. Our next match is another legendary moment that will live forever, as we head to WrestleMania 13. Rosemont, Illinois would play host to the most important night on the sports entertainment calendar. And on this night, a match that is the literal definition of an all-time classic unfolded. Bret Hart had been the face of WWE's new generation for years, proudly defending the WWE Championship against all comers and defending WWE's honor against its most heinous villains. After losing the WWE Championship to Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania 12's Iron Man match, the Hitman took some time off to consider his future options. When he returned, roughly 6 months later, there were drastic changes to the landscape of WWE's universe. Top among those was the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. The man who started the year off as Ted DiBiase's ringmaster would find freedom in his true identity, dropping his manager and finding superstardom in the wake of his 1996 King of the Ring tournament victory.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
WWE was trying to find its attitude, but the seeds of change were being planted in the fans who had rallied around Austin. His no-nonsense attitude had made him the ultimate anti-hero. This acceptance of someone who flaunted his breaking of the rules didn't sit right with the Hitman. When Bret made his return, he immediately challenged Austin, who was more than ready to answer the call. The two battled at 1996's Survivor Series, where Hart won in a masterful performance of a feverish back-and-forth battle. The loss only made Austin angrier, creating a single focus for him: to ruin Bret Hart's career. He'd eliminate Hart from the 1997 Royal Rumble match after officials missed Hart first eliminate Austin. The night after Hart captured the WWE Championship at Final Four, Austin would interfere in Hart's first defense on Raw, ending the reign before it could even get started. WWE officials would pit the rivals against each other in a no disqualification submission match. The loser would be forced to admit they were defeated by the better combatant. To make sure that order would be maintained, a special referee was assigned. The world's most dangerous man and former MMA champion, Ken Shamrock. And while Hart had the edge in submission wrestling, Austin was no slouch in that department. And he also had one other thing going for him: his promise to the world that he would never in a million years give up. Once the match started, these two unleashed months of hatred on one another. We were lucky enough to talk to the Rattlesnake himself, Stone Cold Steve Austin, to get his thoughts on this classic encounter.
A lot of people think that the WrestleMania 13 match between myself and Bret the Hitman Hart is one of the best of all time. Certainly one of the best in all of WrestleMania. To me, it's a very special match because everything happened so magically, and specifically WrestleMania 13 cemented the legacy of who and what Stone Cold Steve Austin was. From start to finish, we started it off, we brawled out, we came back into the ring, we brought various factors from around the ring into the ring to use against each other. Some of the stuff backfired on me. It was full of chills, thrills, and spills. I gotta call a spade. I mean, it is my favorite all-time match, and I've been to some classics.
Always an honor to get to pick the brain of one of WWE's top-level legends. Thank you again to Stone Cold for talking with us about WrestleMania 13. Now it's on you to try and find a way to take out WWE's toughest SOB. Remember, there are no disqualifications, so use whatever you can, and maybe you'll find a way to get him to surrender. I just wouldn't recommend messing with the referee. Shamrock's ankle lock is nasty.
Hart immediately showed why this match was perfect for him. Instead of just punching Austin's face, he'd attack Austin's legs instead. Bret wanted to make sure that his search for revenge also ended with him victorious. Hurting Austin in a losing effort was worthless to him. Hart knew every single attack would be used to set up his vaunted sharpshooter, so he started the war early. The Hitman would also find ways to mix his technical style into a more vicious approach, like when he locked Austin in a figure-4 leg lock around the ring post. Normally, a hold that would be subjected to a referee's 5 count, Hart could inflict damage until he chose to let go. And just how much damage had the move done? Had Austin's knee brace offered any type of defense against the maneuver? Austin had the reputation as a brawler, but Hart was showing that he wasn't completely out of his element in this no disqualification match. Bret looked to keep things relatively simple, and so far the plan was paying off. Work the leg, break it down, and the submission opportunities would come. As the two continued to fight, the action would again return to ringside. A strong Irish whip from Hart sent Austin flying into the guardrail by the timekeeper. Hart stayed on the attack, looking to maintain control under any circumstances. Unfortunately for Austin, a huge cut had been opened up on his head. And seeing the red on Austin brought out a whole new level of ferocity for the Hitman. Bret unleashed months of built-up aggression on Austin. Hart abandoned his limb-based attack, focusing only on Austin's bloodied face. Austin looked to be in very, very bad shape now, all from an innocent Irish whip. It was now Austin's time to prove that he was everything that he said he was. Did Austin have the fight in him to keep going? Would he look for a way out now that Hart had him badly hurt? The Hitman was now in firm control, with Austin in big trouble with a nasty wound on his head. Things were not looking good for the Rattlesnake. Hart continued to maintain control, but Austin would not stop fighting back. Desperate, Austin found an opening, tossing Hart to the apron. Austin would then reveal the lengths he was willing to go to, grabbing an extension cord at ringside. I still can't believe that Ken Shamrock checked to see if Hart gave up instead of trying to break him free. Just when it looked like Austin was finding daylight, the resourceful Hitman clobbered him with the ring bell. Austin had already looked like he was nearly finished. The fans, who had steadily grown louder in favor of Austin, tried to rally the Rattlesnake back to his feet one more time. Cut bad and now down again. Was there anything left in Stone Cold Steve Austin? When Hart locked in the sharpshooter, you could see two clear reactions. One group was loudly cheering, sure that the Hitman had done what he needed to do, and that victory was coming. The other group sat with a mixture of disappointment and hope on their faces. Austin was in trouble, of course, but there's no way Stone Cold was going to give up, right? Bret continued to pull back, remembering all the things Austin had said. Remembering his unfair ouster at the Royal Rumble. Remembering Austin costing him the WWE Championship. And Stone Cold kept fighting. Austin refused to give up, refused to lose to someone for whom he held so much disdain. Now it was the Bret fans who looked worried, and the Austin fans who began cheering, hoping to will their guy to one last incredible act. Bret pulled back and Austin pushed forward, taking every last bit inside of him to try and fight his way out of the sharpshooter. But on this evening, it wasn't to be. Bret nearly toppled over, but managed to rebalance and reapply the hold. Austin, in one of WWE's most memorable visuals, would struggle one last time to find an escape before collapsing unconscious. Special referee Ken Shamrock would call the match here, as Austin was no longer able to defend himself. Yes, Stone Cold lost, but he lived up to his word and he never gave up.
As a result of Stone Cold Steve Austin losing consciousness, the winner of this bout, Bret Hitman Hart!
Hart was happy with the win, but he still took the opportunity to attack Austin after the match, which only served to alienate whatever fans still cheered for Bret. Even in victory, Hart refused to be the better man, which was disappointing to the millions who had supported him. But for Hart, all that mattered was the victory. He'd proven that he was better than Stone Cold Steve Austin, which is all he cared about. And Stone Cold had, while trapped in the sharpshooter, won over an entire fan base with his fight until the very end. It's one of the greatest matches in WWE history, featuring two of the very best to ever compete in a WWE ring. It made Stone Cold Steve Austin a generational superstar, and it showed that the Hitman wasn't only a technical wrestler. Counter holds, ringside brawling, and lots of weapons, along with one of the most famous endings to any WWE match ever. Such a classic. I never get tired of this match.
I need it more than anything that you can ever imagine.
When you headline an event, you know, you've got to be on top of your game, be in the best of your game to put on a show and to warrant that main event status.
Austin was going to do everything he could to guarantee the nearly 68,000 attending in his home state of Texas would not be disappointed. The People's Champ had other ideas. He had worked hard while Austin was out to establish himself as the man in WWE. And the opportunity to prove his status with this WrestleMania rematch had the Brahma Bull almost bursting at the seams. If anything was for sure, it was that The Rock would do one thing, and one thing only.
Just bring it!
He'd been through the battles, he'd come into his own, nothing was handed to him, he earned it all, and he turned himself into the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. At no point in time in wrestling history were two stars, two wrestlers, as hot as both I was and The Rock was. It's hard to explain why we're such good opponents. We just were.
So now it's time for you to head into one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, WrestleMania 17 in 2001. A night that serves as the pinnacle of the Attitude Era's excellence, with its two biggest names doing battle once again. Are you ready to open up a can on The Rock? Or will you find out that going one-on-one with the Great One isn't the electrifying opportunity it appears to be?
Before the bell could even make this match official, the action was underway. Austin was proving that he'd do anything to win, first attacking Rock while his back was turned, and then looking to use the WWE Championship. Rock had a brief moment where he unloaded some of his trademark rights, but then ran into Austin's Des Press. Austin was wrestling with a hint of desperation not usually seen from him. A very, very fast start for Austin as he'd use a couple of his running elbows to rattle Rocky in the early moments. Was The Rock not ready for Austin's tactics? Would he be able to get back into the match quickly before Austin really started stomping a mud hole? Once the action went to the ringside area, the brutality really got ratcheted up. Rock used the announce table and timekeeper's table to his advantage. But took his eye off Austin for one brief moment, which allowed Austin the chance to clock him with the bell. Austin was really looking like a different superstar than the one we'd known the last few years. There was a sinister look in his eye as he yelled at officials. A more deliberate approach as he threw heavy rights at The Rock, who stumbled all over trying to stay on his feet. Austin's face wore an angry sneer while he planned his next move, knowing he had plenty of time with Rocky hurt. Back in the ring, Austin continued a methodical, brutal beatdown to the People's Champion. Right after right after right, despite the objections of the referee, found their mark. Even when Rock was able to land a few strikes of his own, Austin immediately cut off his offensive surge. Stone Cold hadn't been WWE Champion for nearly 18 months, and it was clear that this had done something to his psyche. The Rock wasn't the reason that Austin was out, but he had clearly benefited the most from Austin's absence. And it seemed that Austin was taking every opportunity to make Rock pay for taking what he considered to be his. Did The Rock really underestimate what kind of match this was going to be? Had he considered Austin to be a friend? Did he not take Austin's words at face value? For a little bit there, it looked like Austin had completely overwhelmed The Rock. But The Rock never lost faith in himself. He took advantage of Austin backing off and clotheslined his way back into the match. Once he had Austin down, Rock was able to reevaluate the situation. And once he had, he went to ringside to grab the timekeeper's bell. Instant karma, it seemed, was going to get Austin. Now it was The Rock who was going to find an angrier, meaner place inside. And it was The Rock who was going to make Stone Cold Steve Austin suffer. With no rules to hold them back, the Brahma Bull and the Rattlesnake were going to throw absolutely everything at each other, with the dream of leaving WrestleMania 17 as WWE Champion. Back and forth they'd gone, but neither Austin nor The Rock had found that moment that would give them the win. As Austin attempted an Irish whip, though, The Rock would surprise him with a stone-cold stunner of his own. The millions and millions of Rock's fans exploded. Would this be it? Could The Rock embarrass Austin like this by beating him with his own move in Texas? Austin would display his hallmark grit, managing to kick out at the 2 count. And while the two men laid on the mat, trying to find the spark to get back to their feet, Mr. McMahon would make his entrance. All eyes are on Mr. McMahon, but in the ring, Austin flattens The Rock with an incredible spine buster, which gets a 2 count. Caught up in his frustration, Austin blindly rushes at Rock, who now flattens Austin with his spine buster. That leads to the People's Elbow. But when Rock covers Austin, Mr. McMahon breaks up the pin. That's right, Mr. McMahon helped Stone Cold Steve Austin. To this day, I cannot believe I ever saw that happen. The look on The Rock's face is pretty much the look that I had. What the hell? Rock's anger raged over, and he made a huge mistake in forgetting about Austin in hopes of laying the smackdown on Mr. McMahon, which led to him running straight into a Stone Cold version of the Rock Bottom. Mr. McMahon had turned the match on its head, and Stone Cold Steve Austin looked ready to strike and finish his quest of regaining the WWE Championship under some unthinkable circumstances. It was inevitable. Stone Cold was going to win, and it was obvious to everyone watching. The Rock had been able to get back into it once Mr. McMahon had arrived. Now Stone Cold was obliterating The Rock with a chair as Mr. McMahon instructed him, and all we could do was watch. Somewhere in the darkest places of Steve Austin's mind, he had convinced himself that the only way to get back to where he was would be by teaming with the man who had been his biggest enemy for years. Had the man never really changed? Had he simply fooled the fans during those years where he was WWE's most popular superstar? Should it have ever been surprising that the man who preached DTA, don't trust anybody, was not someone to be trusted? Or had something changed in Austin while he was gone? And how could The Rock have ever expected anything like this to happen?
One of the most stunning endings in WrestleMania history sees Stone Cold Steve Austin align with Mr. McMahon to regain the WWE Championship. WrestleMania 17 was in many ways the last stand for WWE's Attitude Era. Steve Austin and Triple H formed a two-man power trip as an impending invasion from WCW and ECW would forever alter WWE. So much talent in one spot would lead to the brand split and a new era, one of ruthless aggression. And at WrestleMania 20, WWE returned to its roots in New York City, proudly featuring two ring generals competing for the WWE Championship, with Eddie Guerrero defending against Kurt Angle. From his arrival to WWE in late 1999, Kurt Angle was an absolute natural in a WWE ring. His rookie year would see him capture the European, Intercontinental, and WWE Championships, an astounding accomplishment. The Olympic gold medalist always used his three I's: intensity, integrity,
And intelligence.
to either be a champion or to be competing for a championship. Angle lost the WWE Championship to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19 in Seattle and looked for the opposite result at WrestleMania 20. Carrying months of resentment, Kurt looked to right the wrongs as he challenged for the championship. Despite coming from a legendary wrestling family, Eddie would not receive the path to instant stardom that his opponent did. Instead, he worked his way up from Mexico to ECW and then to WCW before finally earning a chance with WWE. It took him years to finally realize his dream, and once he had, Eddie did everything he could to keep it. In 2004, Eddie won a 15-man mini Royal Rumble that granted him a match against Brock Lesnar at No Way Out for the WWE Championship. The last man he eliminated? Yep, Kurt Angle. Still, at this point, the two appeared to be on friendly terms, even if the disappointment was obvious for Kurt. And at No Way Out in San Francisco, Eddie would achieve the impossible, defeating Brock Lesnar to finally hold the WWE Championship.
It was Eddie Guerrero's time. It was his time to show that he was a top performer. So I knew Eddie was on a roll, and I knew my work was cut out for me.
Angle was victorious in a triple threat match to be named the #1 contender. On the surface, it seemed all was well. Two fantastic competitors who would battle to see who was better. But it turned out that Kurt Angle had been seething ever since that 15-man Rumble, And with his match set, he struck. Attacking Eddie while working as a special guest referee, Angle went ballistic on Latino heel.
I felt the need to beat Eddie Guerrero, not just beat him, but beat him up and try to hurt him.
The tone was set. This was not about competition or athletic pursuit. This was about a former champion desperate to reclaim his throne, and a new champion who wasn't going to let anyone take his dreams away from him. Now it's time for you to put Kurt Angle in the silver medal position and find a way to retain Eddie Guerrero's WWE Championship at WrestleMania. But if you're not careful, Kurt's gonna grab that ankle, and you'll have two choices: tap or snap.
Kurt Angle always looked to prove that his opponent had no business in the ring with him. He'd use basic mat wrestling sequences to feel his opponent out, to see if he could make them uncomfortable. Eddie Guerrero knew that he had the technical skills to hang with Angle, and showing them off would be essential to his survival in the match. If Angle knew you were outmatched right away, he'd just play with you. Eddie being able to counter his way out of Angle's mat wrestling was his way of saying, I'm the champion for a reason, and I'm just as good as you are. Nobody able to grab control, both back to their feet in the standoff. Angle looking a little surprised that Eddie was more than capable on the ground. The reversals in this match were non-stop. Kurt would find his way out of Eddie's Three Amigos, and Eddie returned the favor when he freed himself from Angle's grasp as he attempted the rolling German suplexes. Angle's attempts to show that Eddie wasn't in his league had not gone the way he'd hoped for to this point. The anger that led him to attack Eddie in the first place now had Angle looking for a German suplex from the apron onto the floor. Luckily, Eddie was able to free himself from the situation and open up more offense for himself. An opponent like Kurt Angle was so difficult for this very reason. He was so good, he'd force you to take big risks against him in hopes of gaining that ever so important control. It appeared Angle had set him up, moving out of the way the second that Eddie dove at him from the top rope. Eddie went chest first into the barricade, taking all the air out of him. As Angle maintained his control, Eddie again grew desperate, looking for any chance to get Angle on the defensive. Perched on the top turnbuckle, Guerrero would fight back, sending Angle crashing to the mat. Looking to strike quickly, Eddie again went for broke, attempting his frog splash to a downed Angle. Each time Eddie took a risk, it failed to pay off. Was Kurt baiting him to force the mistakes, or was Eddie just rushing the opportunity? Eddie would need to make adjustments if he was going to find the victory. Eddie was attempting to rally, and Angle needed to cut it off quickly. You know Kurt means business when the straps come down. He had Eddie right where he wanted him, looking to end the match courtesy of his trademark ankle lock. Eddie hadn't taken much damage to his ankle at this point and was able to survive the painful predicament with a timely roll-up. So evenly matched, no one able to maintain a dominant position for long. Both men were unsure of their path to victory, but Angle was not going to let that throw him off his plan as he took the champion down again with another German suplex. Eddie had fought so hard to get back into the match, struggling to get Angle back to his feet, hoping to put the finishing touches on his challenger. In the blink of an eye, Angle had managed to trap Eddie back in the ankle lock. The exhaustion was obvious, but Eddie continued to fight. Could he make it to the ropes? Was he going to tap out? Eddie reached into his bag of tricks and was able to roll forward, sending Angle crashing to the floor. Despite freeing himself from the hold, Eddie still seemed to be in a bad predicament. His ankle looked to be severely damaged, keeping him from following up with any attacks. Looking scared, Eddie began to loosen his boot, hoping to alleviate any potential swelling. The look in Angle's eyes as he went back into the ring was like a lion chasing down its prey. With the ankle lock again applied, was there anything left in Eddie? The answer was yes, as Eddie would free himself from both his loose boot and the ankle lock itself. In the confusion, Kurt would run right into a small package attempt by Eddie. And the bell rang with Eddie Guerrero finally tricking Kurt Angle, keeping his status as WWE Champion intact.
Eddie Guerrero, Latino Heat himself, showing that he did indeed know all the tricks needed to defeat Kurt Angle. Whoever thought that a loose boot could ever be so helpful? A fantastic win in a very special matchup, and Eddie Guerrero remains WWE Champion at WrestleMania 20. For our next match, we go to the very next year, and WrestleMania 21 in Los Angeles, California. The card was loaded from top to bottom and would feature the first WWE and World Championship victories for two guys named John Cena and Batista. Never heard of them? But also on this night, a dream match of the highest order was set to take place. Folks, the issue between Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle blew up so quickly and so unexpectedly. It all started at the 2005 Royal Rumble match. After falling short in a WWE Championship match earlier in the night, Angle would steal someone else's number, looking for one last chance at a WWE Championship. Shawn Michaels also had dreams of headlining another WrestleMania, and winning the Rumble match was the only place to do that. Shawn was number 19, while Kurt entered at 20. And Angle was a whirlwind of offense once he hit the ring. But it was to be short-lived, as Michaels would stun the crowd and eliminate Angle only 37 seconds after his arrival on the scene. Kurt went ballistic, attacking Shawn and eliminating him from the Rumble. A dream match that could headline any card. Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels was not going to be about stealing the show or making memories.
My issue with you goes all the way back to 1996. I won a gold medal. And people are talking to me about some guys named Shawn Michaels gliding down from the rafters that year and putting on a wrestling clinic.
Kurt would reveal an obsession with proving himself superior to Michaels in every way possible, which included defeating former partners of Michaels, along with delivering an incredible rendition of Sexy Kurt, Angle's version of Shawn Michaels' entrance theme.
I'm just a sexy Kurt. I'll make your ankle hurt.
So with all the stars out in full force for WrestleMania 21, two of the greatest all-around performers in WWE history were finally set to lock horns. And here to provide us with some first-hand insight on this contest, Kurt Angle sat down with us.
WrestleMania is just, it's the most popular sporting event of all time. It's the most important event for any pro wrestler, and when you get there and you're able to perform there, it's a true honor. I consider Shawn Michaels the greatest overall entertainer in the history of the business. Shawn is the type of individual that puts on five-star matches show after show after show. And if you don't have that five-star match with Shawn, then there's something wrong with you. You know you're gonna have to up your game, and you have to be at your very best. Once we locked horns at WrestleMania, the chemistry was there. I just thought that Shawn and I might have had possibly the greatest match of all time.
A true honor. Thank you to Kurt Angle for sharing his thoughts about his sublime encounter with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. With that, it's time for you to show that you've got the intensity, integrity, and intelligence to defeat Shawn Michaels under the brightest lights in sports entertainment. You know Mr. WrestleMania will be looking for every opportunity to stop you in your tracks with a little sweet chin music if you get too reckless.
Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle came into this match looking to prove their superiority over the other. Now, the match was about to kick up a notch. Angle, looking to suplex Shawn Michaels right through the announce table, showed how badly he wanted to injure the Heartbreak Kid in this contest. While Michaels managed to escape the attempt, he would not be so lucky on the follow-up. An Angle slam into the ring post was not what anyone was expecting to see so early. But Angle would look to target Shawn's main weak point, going for the back that had been injured in 1998 and forced Michaels out of action for 4 years. With Shawn's back compromised, Angle kept his focus there. But HBK is never out of the match, and he was able to send Angle to the mat. Shawn went big, looking for his flying elbow, but Angle managed to roll out of the way. And with Shawn in pain on the mat, down come the straps. Angle would look to end things in quick fashion with an Angle slam attempt. Michaels turned things around quickly, managing to escape the Angle slam and then backdropping Kurt to the floor. Did Shawn have anything left? Could Michaels overcome the damage done to his back to this point and mount his own offensive attack? For HBK, there was no time to waste if he wanted to maintain control of the contest. Shawn knew how good Angle was, taking a huge risk by diving to the floor knowing it might be the only thing that'd work at that point. And now, HBK had turned the tables, with Angle hurting on the arena floor. Michaels would reverse another Angle slam attempt, only to find himself in the ankle lock. But Kurt would receive no rest here, with Michaels again reversing to a pin attempt. Back to their feet, Angle would catch a sweet chin music attempt and finally connect with the Angle slam. After Shawn kicked out at 2, Angle, for a moment, seemed to lose his cool. What do I have to do to beat this guy? It only lasted a moment, though, and with Angle pulling his straps back up, only to take them right back down, he appeared focused on the task at hand once again. Defeat Shawn Michaels and prove himself as WWE's best all-around competitor. Despite controlling the match at this point, Angle would inexplicably lose his cool. His inability to defeat Shawn Michaels was causing the rage, and Angle let it all out as he screamed in Shawn's face. Michaels would break free from Angle's grip and bam! It'd floor him with the picture-perfect sweet chin music. With Angle down, Shawn now had his chance. Did Michaels have enough strength left in that kick to knock Angle out? Could he capitalize here? Could Shawn shake off the damage he'd taken thus far and cover Angle with the pin? If Angle made it to his feet first, then Shawn's last gasp would have been all in vain. The referee continued to count. No way this would end in a double countout, right? But that was stopped, with Shawn finally getting back to his feet. Running on fumes, Kurt Angle would try once more to catch Shawn Michaels in the ankle lock. Michaels, looking out at the faces in the crowd, was not going to let these people down. Michaels fought like a wounded animal, trying everything to escape the hold. Spinning through to reverse, crawling to the ropes, and flailing around to loosen Kurt's grip. Kurt had an answer for every attempt, seemingly locking in the hold even tighter every time Shawn failed to break it. Angle had slowly taken Shawn's base away by first chipping away at his back, and now taking Shawn's leg away from him too. Once Angle had dropped down and grapevined his legs, you knew it was over. Not that Michaels hadn't got out of situations like this before. Not that he couldn't survive a submission hold. But this version of the ankle lock had proven inescapable in the past. Michaels still fought valiantly, holding on as long as humanly possible, hoping for anything to save him. The desperation was etched on his face, and he was finally faced with a decision: win the match or save your career. And forced with that choice, Shawn decided on self-preservation and tapped out in the middle of the ring, giving Kurt Angle the win in this outstanding battle.
Here is your winner, Kurt Angle!
Angle celebrated this win as if he'd become WWE Champion again, and honestly, who could blame him? And while Michaels was unable to defeat Angle, he had at least proven himself to be at the level of a gold medalist, and perhaps more importantly, had managed to save himself to fight another day. There may not be a better example of a pure wrestling match in WrestleMania history. Kurt Angle showed himself to be the ultimate grappler by forcing the submission of Shawn Michaels on this occasion. What a feather in the cap of an already Hall of Fame career for Angle. And another incredible performance by the showstopper himself, HBK. Let's be honest, nobody left this match a loser.
In a world to rest in peace.
Two of WWE's greatest icons, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, finally meeting under the WrestleMania lights. Michaels looked to antagonize Undertaker, hoping to fluster him into making a mistake. And if all that failed, Shawn still knew some less than honorable tactics to help keep the match in his favor. Shawn knew that if he wanted to end the streak, he would have to use every single trick in his arsenal. Undertaker would see that nothing was sacred once the bell rang. Undertaker rushed at Shawn, but Michaels saw it coming and managed to move. Immediately, HBK would focus on the injured knee, knowing that the best way to beat a big man is to take away the vertical base. The second it seemed Undertaker was getting back up, Shawn floored him with a huge low bridge enziguri to stay in control. Shawn would not allow Undertaker any chance to recover. Did HBK really have the dead man's number? Things were tooth and nail to this point, with both Undertaker and Shawn Michaels seeking the win. Michaels would give himself a big opportunity when his baseball slide dropkick connected. The fans buzzed as he climbed to the top rope, anticipating his next move. Also anticipating that next move was Undertaker himself. He'd avoid Shawn's daring moonsault, letting HBK hit the ground extremely hard. With both men down, Michaels pleaded with the referee not to stop the match. No injury was so bad that he couldn't continue the fight. Still begging the referee to let him fight, Michaels didn't see Undertaker sit up or get back to his feet. And this, folks, is when The Undertaker made his move. Looking for that picture-perfect dive over the top rope he'd hit so many times before. But on this night, it was not meant to be. Shawn pulled the cameraman into Undertaker's path, avoiding the incoming Phenom as he torpedoed back to earth. These were tense moments. Undertaker barely moved after he landed, and many were unsure if he'd be able to continue. Meanwhile, Shawn was barely better off, struggling to get to his feet while shaking off his own missed moonsault. Such an anticipated matchup. Would it continue? Could it continue? Now it was Shawn, realizing the stakes as he got back into the ring. This was his chance. HBK could absolutely end the streak. Dragging the referee back into the ring, Michaels insisted that the match not be stopped, but instead that the official start the 10 count. Did Michaels really want a count-out win? Would he be satisfied ending the streak in that fashion? Undertaker had managed to get back into the match after many thought he was finished, and now he was looking to take Shawn on a last ride. Undertaker was so determined that not even a reversal by HBK into a pin attempt could stop him, as he manhandled Michaels back to his feet, finally hitting a devastating last ride in the middle of the ring. But now it was Shawn's turn to display his resiliency, beating the referee's count to kick out at 2. This marquee matchup was not only living up to expectation, it was surpassing them. Undertaker would have to shake off the disappointment of the failed pin attempt and get back to showing Michaels that the darkness was stronger than the light. Now Undertaker was in full control. With HBK down on the mat, Undertaker would pull the straps down, signaling to everyone that the end was near. It was time for the tombstone, and everyone braced as Taker lifted Michaels back to his feet. In an instant, Shawn would counter the tombstone into a miraculous DDT, once again flooring the Phenom. Michaels then went back into the corner, looking to recompose himself. Was it time to set up some sweet chin music? Michaels' chance was here. Undertaker was hoping to squash Shawn in the corner, sensing that Michaels was nearly finished. But pure instinct allowed Michaels to get his boot up and once again buy him some time as he planned his next attack. Undertaker was down for the moment, but looked ready to get to his feet. Knowing it was now or never, Michaels had to go for broke. The two had stopped the other in their tracks so many times that even Undertaker seemed surprised when Shawn jumped right into his arms as he attempted a moonsault. Into the perfect position for Undertaker to connect with the legendary Tombstone Piledriver, which was more than enough to finally keep Michaels down for the 3 count. Oh man, I remember this. Both men just laying on the mat once the battle was finished. Michaels still rocked from the tombstone, and of course the Undertaker having somehow survived diving onto the arena floor. Undertaker runs his streak up to 17-0. As hyped up as this match was heading into WrestleMania, knowing that it not only met the expectations, but surpassed them in such a way that fans wanted to see it again, you can't tell me this isn't one of the greatest performances by both superstars at any WrestleMania. You can't.
As badly as the WWE Universe wanted to see Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker, it seems that the two WWE legends wanted it even more, both giving it everything they had, both using some old tricks and some new ones. But ultimately, it ended as all of Undertaker's WrestleMania matches had to that point, a tombstone and a huge win. But nothing lasts forever, and Undertaker was about to learn this very painful lesson courtesy of Brock Lesnar. Oh yeah, you already know what this is about. Would an F5 send Undertaker's streak spinning? Would Undertaker find a way to send yet another opponent to rest with the other lost souls? You're going to have to step into the most intimidating scenario in WWE history. Competing against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You managed to protect the streak earlier. Can you now bring it to an end and leave everyone in attendance speechless?
Brock couldn't let Undertaker dictate what took place. And a huge overhead belly-to-belly let everyone know that Brock wasn't intimidated. Undertaker, on the other hand, needed to employ his mental warfare, like landing on his feet when Brock tried to clothesline him to the floor to keep an edge on Brock. Neither man had a huge power advantage over the other, so it would be Undertaker's mind games against Brock's freakish athleticism. Brawling on the apron didn't get either man very far, though Undertaker was able to hit a shot on Brock over the top rope to get back into the match. The two had smashed each other with huge punches and knees, yet neither seemed to feel the effects. The WWE Universe wanted to see which Titan would blink first here. Brock had Undertaker against the ropes here and was ready to start putting it on him. Talking trash and taunting Undertaker after each clubbing blow, Brock was firmly in control. You could see the distant look in Undertaker's eyes as he tries to stay on his feet. No one had treated Undertaker like this before, and it was shocking to see Undertaker seemingly helpless against the onslaught of the Beast. Undertaker would dig deep, finding a DDT to put Brock down on the mat. Could Lesnar capitalize here? Undertaker was back to his feet first, but barely, still staggering in the corner. Brock looked to kill the comeback immediately, but ran into Undertaker's boot. The Phenom would need to stay alert and push the action if he was going to conquer the Beast. Brock refused to give Undertaker any room to breathe, smothering him whenever possible, and the effects were clear on Undertaker's face. But Undertaker would catch Brock with another big boot, and that gave him the opening to take Brock to school. Old school. Brock continued to shine in WrestleMania's most dangerous scenario. How did Brock manage to catch Undertaker like that? Proving time after time he would not wither. But Undertaker would show his supernatural resiliency, able to kick out of the F5 when it certainly seemed to many that he was finished. Undertaker was struggling in there with Brock, but wasn't out yet. Surely he'd be able to get back into this match and continue his WrestleMania domination? Brock's face is the picture of frustration here, but it seems misplaced when he's got firm control of this match. The big question right now is, what can Undertaker do to get back into the match? How can he keep the streak alive? Undertaker gave everyone one last moment of hope as he elbowed free from Brock's F5 attempt. But a match that had seen Lesnar thwart Undertaker at every turn continued that trend. Will the tombstone be the answer, as it had been so many times before? The way Brock manhandled Undertaker to get him set for the F5 after he reversed the tombstone, Looking back, it's so obvious that Undertaker's out. But at the moment, no one believed it was over, even after the F5. It was Undertaker. He'd kick out. He had to kick out. But he didn't. The looks on the faces. Just look at the shock on every fan in attendance. No one expected that to be it. And that speaks volumes about what Undertaker had built. The man had already survived multiple F5s, and the fans still thought he'd be able to survive the last one. Nobody will ever duplicate the 21-0 record that Undertaker set to open his WrestleMania career. Simply competing at 21 WrestleManias is a daunting enough task, but to win every single time out, it may not have lasted forever, but that is still a number that will live forever. And I have to say, I've never in my entire career heard a crowd react the way that crowd reacted to the end of the streak. Hell, I still can't believe it happened. It is still the most shocking ending to any match at WrestleMania. And I'm feeling the goosebumps again right now. Brock Lesnar pins The Undertaker in the middle of the WrestleMania 30 ring, silencing the entire arena. There will never be another Undertaker. But on this occasion, the night belonged to Brock Lesnar as he conquered the juggernaut-like WrestleMania streak of The Undertaker.
Quite possibly the most jaw-dropping result in WrestleMania history. The Undertaker streak ends at the hands of Brock Lesnar. The looks on the faces of those in attendance told us everything. Nobody saw this coming. Our next match takes us to the Greater Bay Area of Northern California and WrestleMania 31 in 2015. Seth Rollins had been on top of the world ever since he decided to leave the Shield behind to do the bidding of the Authority. This move paid off instantly as he'd capture the Money in the Bank briefcase in July of 2014. Rollins was untouchable, protected by those in power, and with the knowledge that at any moment he could turn that briefcase into the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. All seemed to be well within the ranks of the Authority, but the harmony would not last long. Randy Orton, who had been the Authority's top hand until Rollins joined the ranks, didn't seem so happy with the favoritism his former rival was now enjoying. This would come to a head with Rollins attacking Orton following a tag team match, connecting with his vaunted stomp to make it clear that their association was now over. The Viper was furious, attempting to get revenge, but never quite finding it. Another stomp from Rollins would force Orton out of action for a few months, with Rollins bragging about his actions the entire time. But at Fastlane in February of 2015, Orton would make his return following a six-man tag featuring Rollins, delivering RKOs to everyone who got in his way. But as luck would have it, Rollins would manage to escape unharmed. Orton made it clear he wanted one thing, and one thing only: Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Orton wanted to show the Authority they made a huge error in backing Rollins instead of Orton, and he was going to make an example of their new Golden Boy. The pressure's on. Can you humble Seth Rollins in front of an enormous WrestleMania audience, or will this legend be the one you can't kill? The Stomp meets the RKO. Next.
Orton and Rollins struggled early to take command of the match, mirroring the struggle for power the two had while both associated with the Authority. Orton was all business. He knew that Rollins was dangerous, and he wasn't going to make any mistakes just trying to show off. Rollins, on the other hand, wanted to make his mark on the event, and he knew that a victory over Orton would send a message to the entire WWE roster. This need to make a statement almost cost Rollins when Orton followed up a dropkick with an attempt at the RKO. Was Rollins' arrogance going to cost him? Did he respect Orton's ability at all? It was Orton, though, who'd make the next mistake, chasing Rollins around the ringside area and back in, where Rollins set him up for a devastating hot shot on the ropes. Just like that, Rollins had neutralized Orton's offense and looked ready to pour it on further. What adjustments would Orton have to make now that his RKO had failed him? And would he be able to make them in the moment against Rollins? Orton wanted to try for another RKO, knowing that the quick strike would be the end of Rollins whenever it hit. Every time Orton seized control, those two goons in Rollins' security would try and distract Orton, or even outright interfere. With the backing of the Authority, officials were hesitant to disqualify Rollins, or even have his security removed. With Rollins temporarily halted, Orton would look to remove Rollins' security from the equation himself. Was Orton making a mistake by leaving Rollins to recover? While we all pondered these questions, Seth Rollins provided the answer by wiping Orton out with a breathtaking suicide dive. Orton had squandered his advantage in the match for now. Orton had finally put Seth in a bad spot and backed into the corner, looking to deliver his infamous punt kick. But like they had already multiple times, Rollins' security ran back into the ring, where they'd both eat RKOs for their trouble. Once again, Rollins took advantage of the distraction, ceasing all of Orton's pressure with a stomp. The same stomp that had taken Orton out of action for months. Rollins would evade another attempt at the RKO as he had done throughout the match. But then, in a moment that will play in highlight reels forever, Randy Orton unleashes possibly his greatest RKO ever to stop Seth Rollins in his tracks. The Viper never looked better, expertly setting up his prey to make one wrong move so he could strike from, that's right, out of nowhere. Randy Orton's perseverance allowed him to overcome stifling 3-against-1 odds. And despite being unable to land the RKO on multiple occasions, when the moment presented itself, he fully took advantage. Orton, now able to truly show the Authority that they had backed the wrong guy all along. Doubly satisfying. And Rollins' master plan had crumbled. He'd now lived forever in WrestleMania highlight reels for all the wrong reasons. Surely there was nothing that could salvage this night for Seth. This was Randy Orton's night, and the only thing people would remember from this event would be that RKO. Nothing was going to change what Orton had done to Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins crashes to earth with one of the most famous RKOs ever, ending his quest for victory. A statement win for Randy Orton, but Seth Rollins wasn't done yet. Later that same evening, Brock Lesnar would take part in a match that had another surprising conclusion. The WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Brock had used his victory over Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 to get a championship match against John Cena at SummerSlam 2014, taking the title from Cena in a scary display of dominance. Since that victory, Brock had steamrolled everyone put in front of him, including an impressive defense of the title at the 2015 Royal Rumble against both Cena and Seth Rollins. It did not matter who stood across from Lesnar, he was going to eat, sleep, suplex, repeat his way to victory after victory. Roman Reigns capitalized on his growing momentum by winning the 2015 Royal Rumble, punching his ticket to take on the WWE World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 31. The future tribal chief knew that he was destined to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion, showing no fear or intimidation in the presence of Lesnar. In a completely unexpected twist, something took place during that match that turned everything upside down. During a moment that saw both Lesnar and Reigns down on the mat, it would be the music of Seth Rollins that would hit, as he would be cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And just like that, a one-on-one contest became a triple threat. To tell us more about what some consider to be the greatest cash-in ever, we have the visionary himself, Seth Rollins.
For WWE superstars, for myself especially, WrestleMania is everything. We work year-round, tirelessly, grinding, sacrificing. Every year you get ready to put on the best show. You want everything to peak at the right time because you know that that moment is going to be the most watched, witnessed moment of the entire year. And if you do it right, you can create something that's bigger than you and in some ways transcends our entire industry. I had my sights set on the main event of WrestleMania for some time though. I just needed the perfect opportunity to make sure that the cash-in was a success. When it's all said and done, if I'm remembered for nothing else, I will live forever in that moment.
Big thanks to Seth Rollins for giving us the time to talk about WrestleMania 31 and the cash-in heard around the world. Now it's up to you to figure out how you're going to walk out of this incredible encounter with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. They've built it up, but can you burn it down?
From the immediate outset, Brock Lesnar was out to prove that Roman Reigns did not belong in the same ring as him. Lesnar was not impressed with the Royal Rumble win, and he was not impressed with Roman's past achievements. Roman had come in extremely self-confident. Trying to return Brock's head-on approach, Roman instead ran right into an F5. One thing I remember vividly was that Lesnar didn't immediately go for the pin. Some people think it was respectful, you know, like Roman's not done yet. I saw it as Lesnar not wanting to let Reigns off the hook so easy. Brock Lesnar was out to humiliate Roman Reigns. He's hurt, so keep hurting him. It was going exactly how Brock Lesnar wanted it to go. Another F5 put his brash challenger down on the mat. What more could Lesnar do to humiliate this guy? Brock had an idea. Removing his gloves, ensuring that any punch he landed would do even more damage. But when Brock opened up the barrage with a slap, it seemed to awaken something within Reigns. Brock continued to hammer him, but was met only by laughter from his challenger. Now it appeared that Roman was trying to humiliate Brock. Who in their right mind laughs in the face of Brock Lesnar? Two monstrous German suplexes got the intended result. Roman Reigns wasn't smiling anymore, and Suplex City was born. And when Brock followed that up with yet another F5, it looked like that was all she wrote. But Roman Reigns would give everyone a glimpse of what he had inside, somehow kicking out at 2. For the first time in the entire match, Brock Lesnar seemed at a loss as to what to do next. Would he just have to hit F5 after F5 until Roman stayed down? Everyone in the stadium thought Roman was done after that F5. He was showing us all exactly what he was made of, and it was clearly starting to frustrate a once supremely confident Brock Lesnar. Boom! When Lesnar hit that ring post, everything changed. Roman was now in control, and he had badly hurt the champion. He's not a machine, he's a man.
Stop! 8, 9,
Once Brock had made it back into the ring, Roman knew he had to act immediately. Lesnar had dominated the match to this point, and Reigns likely wouldn't get another chance like this. One Superman punch landed, rocking Lesnar. A second Superman punch would connect, and Lesnar was on rubber legs as he fell into the corner. Lesnar looked out on his feet, and Reigns appeared to be catching a second wind. Reigns' attempt at a third Superman punch was caught by Lesnar, but Reigns couldn't bother to be impressed by the feat of strength. A storm of elbows and headbutts freed him from Lesnar's grasp and allowed Roman to hit the ropes and finally hit the third Superman punch, taking Lesnar down. A huge spear took Brock down again, but only momentarily. Roman didn't panic, backing up into the corner immediately. Roman Reigns leveling the beast with another heavy spear. But fate had other plans, with Brock kicking out at 2. Now it was Roman asking himself the questions. What more do I have to do? Can I beat Brock Lesnar? Can anyone beat Brock Lesnar? He had to dig down for whatever he had left inside to give Lesnar one last shot that would end this thing once and for all. Looking for a fourth Superman punch, Reigns instead found himself in Lesnar's clutches, once again victimized by an F5. Fortunately for Roman, the damage had been done to Lesnar, leaving him incapable of making a cover of any kind. Unfortunately for both men, Seth Rollins' music hit. Was he really going to? There was no way he was crashing the WrestleMania main event and cashing in Money in the Bank. With both Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns having taken serious amounts of damage to this point, what in the world could possibly stop Seth Rollins from completely stealing the show and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship? Rollins had crashed the party, but he wasn't looking to stay long. He looked for the stomp on Brock Lesnar, but found himself set up for the F5. But that spear from Reigns would be his last gasp. And with nothing left in his energy reserves, Reigns would fall victim to Seth Rollins' stomp. And in one of WrestleMania's most shocking conclusions, Seth Rollins walks out of Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar as the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You had to feel for both Reigns and even Lesnar, as the two had thrown everything at each other in hopes of capturing the championship. But it was all for naught, as Rollins had now rewritten the story of his WrestleMania 31. Everyone thought his evening had ended via spectacular RKO, but Seth Rollins stole the whole damn show with WWE's greatest cash-in, leaving Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar completely stunned as Seth walked out the new champion. Michael Cole called it the heist of the century. It's the greatest cash-in that Money in the Bank has ever produced. target for Becky and Charlotte, but Ronda immediately went on the offensive, bullying Becky back in the corner. And then turning her attention to Charlotte Flair. Ronda wanted to prove immediately that despite the stature of her opponents, that it was she who was the dominant WWE superstar. Outside the ring, Ronda would not let up, connecting with a Piper's Pit, not only to Becky that threw her into the barricade, but also to Charlotte Flair, planting her onto the floor. A second attempt at Piper's Pit on Becky proved to be Rousey's biggest mistake, with Becky shaking free and throwing Ronda into the ring post. Trying to keep her momentum, Ronda ran right into a boot from Becky, staggering her long enough to allow Charlotte Flair to perform a suplex of her own to send Ronda into the barricade herself. Rousey had overwhelmed Charlotte and Becky with her blitzing offense, but Becky was able to compose herself quickly enough to avoid another Piper's Pit, leaving Ronda on the defensive early in the bout. Now, as we all know, a triple threat match is every superstar for themselves. But despite not being friendly with each other, Charlotte and Becky realized that it might be best for them to focus their efforts on Ronda. Looking for a double powerbomb, Ronda would manage to reverse, putting Charlotte in an armbar. But this freed Becky and allowed her to drill Ronda with a low drop kick. With Ronda out of the way, now the Queen and the Man had the ring all to themselves. With Ronda still down and out, Charlotte looked to take it up a notch. Her standard knee drop was made more devastating by the removal of her knee pad, and now Becky Lynch was in a bad situation. Charlotte did not let up, repeatedly slamming Becky's face into the mat. Charlotte was making the most of Ronda Rousey being down, willing to put Becky through the mat if it meant she'd leave WrestleMania as the Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. When Charlotte tried to interrupt a reverse DDT to Ronda, Becky just added her to the mix, hitting a standard and reverse DDT combo to both. While her attempts at getting the pin failed both times, Becky was now in firm control and didn't show any signs of letting up. Eventually, Rousey found her momentum again and managed the jaw-dropping feat of placing both Becky and Charlotte into arm bars. Realizing that they were better together, Charlotte and Becky would turn the tide on Ronda. Muscling her up and hitting her with a series of double-team power bombs. Ronda did her best to fight free, but was overwhelmed by powerbomb after powerbomb. The two worked well together, but that wasn't the plan. The second she no longer needed help, Charlotte sent Becky to the floor. Charlotte knew exactly what needed to be done in that ring, looking to get the pin when she saw Ronda down. The Queen was in top shape, and despite not getting the pin, she was rolling. Finally, Ronda broke free, and I remember thinking this was it once she hit Becky with that huge running knee. It was academic at that point. She rolled Becky to set her up for Piper's Pit, struggling through the exhaustion and pain to lift her up. And then Becky did the unthinkable. Reversing into a crucifix pin, she was able to surprise the former MMA champion with a pinfall to win the match.
Becky Lynch is the winner.
Ronda was not happy, feeling she'd gotten her shoulder up, but the decision stood, and Becky was named the winner. All three women left it all in the ring. While Charlotte and Ronda were not thrilled in failing to win, neither had any reason to hang their head in shame. Standing in the ring, holding both titles high, Becky Lynch's arduous road to WrestleMania had finally reached its epic conclusion. Becky etches her name into the history books, victorious in the first ever WrestleMania women's main event, leaving as both Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion after pinning Ronda Rousey in the center of the ring. A stellar performance by everyone involved, but it's Becky who had just that little bit extra to get her hand raised. It was another landmark performance by the man.
On a night that saw Seth Rollins run through Brock Lesnar, the final battle of Triple H and Batista, and Kurt Angle's last match, the occasion belonged to Becky Lynch, who ended the night holding both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships high above her head triumphantly. A moment that truly will live forever. Now we jump ahead to WrestleMania 36, the only WrestleMania in history with 0 attendance, a record, and the first to take place on both days of the weekend. It also featured one of the most bizarre matches in the event's existence, the Firefly Funhouse match between the Fiend Bray Wyatt and John Cena. Cena won a hard-fought match against Wyatt at WrestleMania 30 in 2014. A heartbreaking result for Wyatt, who could not handle the failure. He'd rebuild, capturing the WWE Championship, discovering his inner Fiend, and also capturing the Universal Championship. But he never forgot about the pain of that WrestleMania 30 loss. So when Cena showed up on SmackDown after some time away to announce that he would not be competing at WrestleMania 36, the Fiend took the opportunity to persuade him to reconsider. A simple point to the WrestleMania sign was all that was needed to signal the challenge, with Cena tipping his cap to accept it. Wyatt would lay out the conditions. John Cena would have to venture into the Firefly Funhouse if he wanted this match, where he, the Fiend, would be waiting. Not one to ever back down, Cena remained unfazed. Sure, he didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but he had to trust in himself and his skills. Skills that had delivered a victory over this man before. But he knew that this was not going to be easy, and that he was walking into the base of the enemy. And without the voices of the WWE Universe to cheer him on, Cena would have to face the mind games of the Fiend alone, and hope that he was strong enough to survive. But it's up to you to break Cena down and show him that in the Firefly Funhouse, there is no one as powerful as the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Yowie wowie indeed.
That'll never ever end.
There's another world that exists beyond our realm of comprehension. A world where our darkest urges are no longer kept secret. A world where gods, monsters, angels, and demons are neighbors. Who are we really? And why do we do the things that we do? Hey, John, let's take a real deep look at who you really are. You're about to face your most dangerous opponent yet. Yourself! Welcome to the Firefly Funhouse!
Hey, dude! John Cena! Sup, Shawn? You looking for Bray, dude? I saw him! He went that way! He went through that door! That way! Go on, bro! Be careful, dude!
Tonight, I'm issuing a challenge for anyone back there in that locker room here and face Bray Wyatt! What makes you think you got what it takes to hang with Bray Wyatt? Ruthless aggression! Wow! Whoever thought this was actually gonna work? I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty embarrassing, you know? Ruthless aggression! Whoa, John. I am literally living your biggest failure right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's sad. I guess I can see why you almost got fired, right? Ruthless aggression! You can look, but you can't touch. Ruthless aggression. Now, John, you know what I'm thinking right now? Is this really what you want to do with your life? What's up, brothers? My tag team partner is such a physical specimen, you can't help but worship him. Why? Because that's what being a stud is all about. Having muscles. No matter what little talent you possess. And that, my friends, is what my tag partner, Johnny Largemeat, is all about. Wait till you see that body. Wow! I mean, the ladies love him, and the men, they want to be him. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my tag team partner, Johnny Largemeat. Yeah, that's right, Big Daddy. Let me tell you something, because the fact of the matter is, when the rubber hits the road, the cream rises to the top. Somebody say something about WrestleMania day and night. You're gonna pay for the whole seat and use only the edge. I mean, my God, the power of the people is right. What you gonna do, brother, when you realize the
Egomania has been running wild on you. Oh!
Word life. This is basic thugonomics. This is basic thugonomics. Word life. I'm untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me. Word life. This is basic thugonomics. Word life. I'm untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me. Word life. This is basic thugonomics. Word life.
Now I'm the doctor of thugonomics. I just switched like that in mid-fight. The audience will be excited. They just went from 6 to midnight. Oh, I get your little joke. I can only talk in rhyme, right? Fine, I still shine. You ain't taking away my limelight. If all I got is rapping, I use it to my advantage. Cause I'm like Husky Harris, it's a weight that I can manage. Oh, Bray, I got a great idea for your puppet show. Put my junk in a glove. You can call him Mr. Suck It, bro. You've been a disappointment since they brought you to the dance. You a slut for opportunity. You're blowing every chance.
Chances? How dare you talk to me about chances, John Cena? I have had to earn everything I've ever been given in life, and still they're taken from me. You're the golden goose, John. Your chances, they're unlimited. You're untouchable. But you're not a hero, John. You're a bully. You're a horrible person. You take the weaknesses of others and you turn them into jokes. You would do anything for fame, John. Congratulations. You're the man now, John. Poor, lonely John Cena. This is your last chance, man. The floor is yours.
You in the doctor's house trying to get up in my face? All you really get is these nuts up in your face.
The color red in a world full of black and white. I had the whole world in my hands. Abigail spoke of this day my entire life. You were supposed to be a man of the people. Then why weren't you listening? Prophecy fulfilled. But instead, it's my grandest failure. I've heard for so long, I can't remember what it's like to feel. But now, it's time to rewrite my own story. Run. not enough to end it, Superman. But this is. 6 years ago, you made the wrong choice, cowboy. Fix it. Fix it, John. Fix it!
I love you too. I love you too. You want to know what I really want to do right now? No. You know what I really want to do right now? I want to introduce the coolest guy that ever walked the face of the wrestling earth. Give it up for John Cena! Gear it up! Stop it!
You heard it, man!
You ain't gonna like this.
John Cena fights valiantly, but ultimately succumbs to the powers that exist inside the Firefly Funhouse. And the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, finally avenges a loss that had eaten at him for 6 long years. A total nightmare for John Cena. Many of the matches in the 2K24 showcase are easy dream matches. And as we know, usually a dream match is something that fans talk about, pitting 2 superstars against each other when they know that will never really happen. But at WrestleMania 38, we saw a different variation of what a dream match can be. With a simple invitation, Kevin Owens put the wheels in motion for his personal dream match, one against WWE Hall of Famer, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Asking for Austin to be a guest on the KO show was just step 1. Next was to disparage the state of Texas whenever he had the opportunity.
I've been here for a couple of days, and it's actually worse than I remembered.
And then it was to extend that trash talk to Austin himself. Stone Cold hadn't competed at WrestleMania since a 2003 loss to The Rock at WrestleMania 19, but he still had plenty of fight in him. With WrestleMania 38 taking place in Texas, Austin knew that he had to show up and hit Kevin Owens with whatever he needed to shut his mouth. Whether that was 1 Stone Cold Stunner or 15, it didn't matter to WWE's toughest SOB. We were able to sit down with Kevin Owens to talk about how this all came together.
It was pretty surreal when the video aired of him accepting the challenge. You know, him driving out in the middle of the desert on his four-wheeler or whatever you want to call it, and then hearing him answer me directly and saying,
Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to open up one last can of whoop ass on you, Kevin Owens.
That threat made me so excited. I was so pumped. Career highlight for sure to have Stone Cold Steve Austin cut a promo on me. As far as WrestleManias go, I think the match with Stone Cold takes the cake as the top spot. Stunner! Before I started using the stunner, I'd asked him for permission and advice. I don't know that he told me every secret, to be honest. His stunner is the best, because mine didn't keep him down, but his kept me down, so he's onto something.
19 years in the making!
He trusted me to be a worthy opponent for what was his first match back in 19 years. The fact that he was willing to do that with me, that's a huge, huge compliment.
Always a privilege to get to speak to Kevin Owens, and we thank him for the time. We were also able to capture a little message from Stone Cold himself, who wanted to extend the following to Owens.
Hey, Kevin. I just wanted to say thank you very much for a hell of a night at WrestleMania 38. You motivated me and got me off my ass 19 years removed. And to be able to go back to Dallas, Texas, the city that I started in 1989, and bring everything full circle, it means a lot to me. Being out there in the ring with you was a blast. Taking that suplex on the concrete was a blast. Kevin Owens, you're awesome.
Steve, I appreciate that more than you'll ever know. And now that we're cool, maybe next time we could share a beer with, I have a can in my hand, you have a can in yours, instead of you just taking a swig and spitting it in my face and mouth. You got my number. You used it before WrestleMania to send me insults in the middle of the night. I didn't forget.
They might get along now, but at WrestleMania 38, it was an all-out war. Can you guide Austin to a WrestleMania victory after 19 years away? Or will KO deal out the ultimate insult, winning the match with his own version of the stunner? If you think you've got what it takes, give me a hell yeah.
Stone Cold said he was coming to open one last can of whoop ass on KO, and he wasted no time delivering on that promise. Trading big right hands, Austin finally got KO trapped in the corner, where he dust off the classics. Stomping a mud hole in Owens while offering a few choice fingers along the way. Owens was finding out immediately that there are indeed consequences when you run your mouth about the rattlesnake. Austin was a proverbial house of fire, looking like he hadn't missed a day, let alone 19 years. A hard Irish whip into the corner nearly turned KO inside out, giving Austin a chance to take a quick beverage break. Instant refreshment. It had been 19 years since Steve Austin competed in a WrestleMania ring, but he looked as good as he ever had once the fight started. If anything, it seemed like KO had really forgotten who he was dealing with. Austin had been all over Owens from the second this fight became an official match, showing no signs of stopping. Taking the fight to the ringside area seemed like an easy call, but KO finally managed to stop Austin in his tracks by sending him crashing into the ring post. Owens would compose himself quickly before realizing the opportunity in front of him. Now it was his turn to brutalize Stone Cold, and he jumped at the chance, assaulting the Hall of Famer with KO show equipment. Owens was unrelenting, finally able to dish out the punishment he'd spent weeks promising Austin. Owens was not going to be embarrassed on this stage. He was the one that was going to embarrass Stone Cold. Then Kevin grabbed a table. He was looking to put Austin out right here, right now. The fans began to scream for Austin to recover, but he was still shaking off the cobwebs. KO was going to make his move right here, looking to put Austin through the table. But somehow, Austin was able to reverse the momentum and send Owens crashing through the table instead. KO wanted to bring the table into this, and now he was paying the very physical price. As he had numerous times in his legendary career, Austin was able to hurt Owens again, regaining command of the fight. With KO dazed, Austin threw him onto the announce table. Remember, Owens had tried and failed to use a table earlier, so now Austin wanted to turn. Austin's plan here was very clear. He was going to beat the hell out of Owens, but he was going to make it look like it was easy. Classic Austin here, enjoying a few cold beverages while basking amongst the screaming fans and just absolutely taking Kevin Owens to the woodshed. Austin was having the time of his life. He turned back the clock and was delivering a vintage performance. Shoot, you can see me calling the match back there. I was totally astounded at how dominant Austin was. Shout out to my suit, though. I was looking good. Austin was in total control, having the time of his life. But I don't think Kevin Owens was enjoying this at all. Stone Cold was having his way with KO. After spitting his drink into Owens' face, Austin was finally ready to bring this back in the ring. KO needed to turn the tide, and fast, or he was soon going to find himself on the losing end of this match he'd waited years to manifest. Perhaps getting a little too comfortable, Austin appeared to take his eye off the ball for a second. But that was all Kevin Owens needed to drop Austin with a hot shot and finally catch a breather from the constant onslaught. But instead of following up with devastating offense, KO looked to commit Grand Theft Auto. What he was planning to do, I have no idea. Run Austin over, drive away to safety, we may never know. Whatever the plan was, he took way too long trying to make it happen, and now Stone Cold was back. In a WrestleMania first, Austin would then start the ATV and drive up the ramp with KO seated in the front. Where the hell was Austin going to take KO? Was I watching a kidnapping? Luckily, no, we were not watching a kidnapping in progress. Austin just wanted to give the fans closer to the stage a better view of his dismantling of Kevin Owens. We've seen a lot of things from Steve Austin at WrestleMania, but opening a can in this location was brand new. Right when it looked like Austin was on his way to victory, bam! KO shocks the whole building by dropping Austin with a stunner. Grabbing a steel chair, KO was going to end Austin once and for all. But Austin was ready, moving out of the way, which caused KO to hit himself with the chair. Another humiliation in a series of them on this night for Owens. Could it be time for the Stone Cold Stunner?
Here is your winner, the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin!
A majestic homecoming for Stone Cold Steve Austin sees the Rattlesnake drop KO with the Stone Cold Stunner, locking in the victory. Austin sets a WrestleMania record with 20 years going between WrestleMania wins, as his previous victory at the event was over Scott Hall at 2002's WrestleMania 18. Cheers to Stone Cold. Moving on, we arrive at WrestleMania 39. Last year's spectacular that played host to many show-stopping moments. And night one was where we got to watch the scintillating rematch between Judgment Day's Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The two first met at WrestleMania 36, when Charlotte, the winner of the 2020 Women's Royal Rumble match, used her guaranteed championship match to call out then NXT Women's Champion Ripley. It was a competitive affair, but Charlotte walked out with the victory and the NXT Women's title. 3 years later, though, things had changed. Ripley had arrived to the main roster, and at WrestleMania 37, she defeated Asuka to become Raw Women's Champion. Unfortunately, a few months later at Money in the Bank 2021, Ripley would again face Charlotte and would again lose her championship by submission. So when Rhea won the 2023 Women's Royal Rumble match, entering at number 1 for the record, she wasted little time to make her challenge. The next night on Raw, she'd lay it out to the woman that had stopped her momentum on more than one occasion, the 7-time women's champion and the queen herself, Charlotte Flair. On a night one that featured incredible action and immortal legends, Ripley and Flair would deliver a performance that could not be denied. Charlotte eternally defending her status as top woman in WWE, and Ripley with her golden opportunity to vanquish the ghosts of WrestleMania past. One thing was clear. If Ripley was going to get it done, she'd have to avoid Charlotte's vaunted figure 8, which had twice been her undoing. If she could do that, her path to victory was clear. That's usually everyone's plan against Charlotte, but she still seems to find it one way or another. Can you put the perfect attack together and defeat Charlotte Flair? Or will you, like so many before, end up bowing down to the queen? Let's go to night one of WrestleMania 39 and find out.
Rhea Ripley wanted to prove that a new generation was ready to take over the throne that the queen had occupied. But that's easier said than done against Charlotte Flair. She had counters for Irish whips, big boots to stop oncoming attacks, and was willing to take to the sky to defeat her challenger. Charlotte was starting off strong. It was too early to write off Ripley. She proved that when she caught Charlotte on her shoulders and spiked her into the top turnbuckle. Charlotte crumbled to the mat, and just like that, her quick start was a thing of the past. And now Ripley had her choice of how to punish the champion next. Rhea had continued to put her brutality on display, ready to finish Charlotte surprisingly early. The queen surprised Rhea with enough fight left in her to counter with an emphatic DDT. The cover may have only gotten a 2 count, but Charlotte Flair had reset the tempo and was now firmly in the driver's seat. Rhea started hitting Charlotte with some big shots. And even then, when it looked like Charlotte was rocked, she once again used her experience to find a counter. These were the moves of a seasoned veteran, stifling her aggressive challenger at every turn. The champ took a minute to compose herself before popping back to her feet, showing that despite the damage thus far, she was just fine, thank you. Charlotte was in her element, staring at the crowd filled with her loyal subjects. But with Ripley down, she had to act fast. As she has so many times, Charlotte looked to perform her spectacular moonsault. Ripley saw it coming and pulled out one of the most devastating moves of the entire match, a super German suplex that turned Charlotte inside out. How Charlotte kicked out, we may never know. At this point, you could see the resignation on the face of Rhea Ripley. If that super German suplex wasn't going to put Charlotte away, what was? But you can't give up in moments like these. This is where Rhea was going to show us exactly what she was made of. A rare double knockout brought the action to a halt, as these two were proving to be more evenly matched than initially anticipated. but it was Charlotte who appeared to be the fresher competitor, getting to her feet first. And then nearly taking Rhea's head off with a huge running boot to the face. Ripley was now struggling to keep up with Charlotte, who saw the chance to connect with something big. Knowing what was coming, the fans grew louder while Charlotte ascended to the top turnbuckle. And they exploded when she connected with the moonsault to the floor. Rhea's talk of a new generation was looking silly, with Charlotte absolutely dominating her. Once Charlotte got back in the ring, she wanted the figure eight, but Ripley had it scouted, able to kick herself free, and avoiding a Charlotte spear attempt. With Charlotte distracted by the official, Rhea would unleash a monstrous headbutt and connect with Riptide. But Charlotte shocked the crowd again, managing to kick out at 2. Rhea Ripley looked lost for the first time in the contest. Was Charlotte's refusal to just stay down starting to affect Rhea's confidence? But now wasn't the time to panic. That's what Charlotte Flair wanted from Ripley. That's what makes Charlotte Flair so great, so dangerous. Her ability to just survive will have you questioning everything you once believed. Rhea and Charlotte both wore the effects of the battle on their faces and both refused to stop fighting. Rhea needed this redemption. Charlotte needed to prove she was still the top woman in WWE. But it was Rhea who went down first, and Charlotte was ready, again looking for her world-renowned figure eight. Before Charlotte could bridge up though, Ripley, as she'd done the entire match, avoided being locked in the hole, this time grabbing the ropes to force the break. Ripley's growth was obvious. She'd tapped out to the figure eight before, but tonight was ready to counter it at every single opportunity. And now it was Charlotte Flair who looked lost in there. For the first time, it was the veteran displaying a bit of panic, much like Ripley had earlier in the battle. But Charlotte knew not to let that panic set in and went right back to work. Whatever it was going to take to defeat Ripley, Charlotte would figure it out. And it was in this moment that Ripley refused to go quietly, elbowing herself free. Then slamming Charlotte's face into the ring post. I remember seeing Charlotte just stop moving, and now it started to feel like this epic contest was about to reach its end. It almost seemed like a foregone conclusion, which is what Rhea Ripley had insisted it was the whole time, as she cradled Charlotte and absolutely folded her in half with a monumental riptide off the second rope. All that was left was to count to 3 and crown Rhea Ripley the new SmackDown Women's Champion. The emotion on Ripley's face as she put the demons of 3 years prior to rest showed just how badly she wanted it. If it's not the greatest women's match at WrestleMania, it's easily in the top 3. Charlotte appeared both disappointed, yet almost excited for new challenges. Maybe she was just accepting having come up short against the better superstar and losing fair and square. Judgment Day had indeed arrived for the Queen, and now Mommy was leaving with the SmackDown Women's Gold.
The Queen did everything in her power to hold the throne, but a massive riptide off the ropes ends her reign, serving notice to all that Rhea Ripley has ascended to the highest levels of superstardom in WWE. The SmackDown women had delivered a classic, and 24 hours later on night 2, it would be time for the women of Raw to have their opportunity. With two of the most dominant women in WWE history looking to collide, it was now time for Raw Women's Champion, the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, to defend against the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. Bianca's rise in WWE had been meteoric. After a successful run in NXT, she'd join the main roster at WrestleMania 36, and 1 year later would capture the SmackDown Women's Championship in the Night 1 main event of WrestleMania 37. She'd lose to Becky Lynch at SummerSlam 2021, but the two would have their rematch at WrestleMania 38. This time, however, Becky was the Raw Women's Champion after being drafted from SmackDown, which would lead to her relinquishing the SmackDown Women's Championship in exchange for Raw's version. And this time, it was Bianca emerging victorious. Belair's reign would see victories over former women's champions Becky, Bayley, and Alexa Bliss. Truly in her element, no one has been able to find an answer for Bianca Belair, which is what made the world of sports entertainment buzz in anticipation when Asuka emerged from the 2023 Elimination Chamber as the winner, guaranteeing a meeting with Raw's women's champion at WrestleMania 39. When it comes to accomplishments, Asuka has left no stone unturned. NXT Women's Champion, Women's Tag Team Champion, winner of the 2018 Women's Royal Rumble, winner of the 2020 Women's Money in the Bank, held both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, and of course, her initial undefeated run of 914 days to start her WWE career. Asuka had returned at the 2023 Royal Rumble sporting a new look, seemingly dialing into something even more sinister than her punishing norms. She didn't win that night, but rebounded nicely the next month at Elimination Chamber, securing the meeting with Belair. Would Bianca's strength and athleticism be enough to survive Asuka's submission and kicks? Could Asuka find a way to stop a prime champion who seems unstoppable? Or would Asuka find herself as just the latest former champion to fall victim to Belair's KOD? These were the questions on the minds of the members of the WWE Universe. If you're going to defeat Asuka, it's going to take everything that the EST has in her arsenal. The power advantage is there, and if the KOD connects, it's lights out. But swing for the stars against Asuka and miss? Then it's the mist. You're on your own, against the wall, but we all know that even with the pressure building, you will never fall.
Despite only being made official weeks prior to WrestleMania, the entire WWE Universe was excited to see this clash between Asuka and Bianca Belair. Asuka looked to take control, sidestepping an overzealous Bianca's charge and connecting with a huge front kick. While not possessing the strength of Belair, Asuka's kicks were absolutely potent and could end the match at a moment's notice. Bianca tried to recover, but Asuka would not relent. Belair was able to catch a kick, hoping to bring this flurry to an end. But Asuka took advantage of the space between them, launching an apron dropkick that sent Belair crashing to the post. No feeling out, no chain wrestling. Asuka wasn't playing games in there. Perhaps caught up in the moment, Asuka then tried something not normally seen in her playbook, looking to suplex Belair from the ring to the floor. Can you even imagine the damage if Asuka connected with something like that? But the EST of WWE was able to block it and return the favor to Asuka by throwing her into the ring post. Having slowed the pace down, Bianca could now use her strength to keep Asuka in check and perform a suplex from the outside to bring Asuka back into the ring. Bianca Belair's power on full display, completely muscling Asuka over the top rope and crashing hard to the mat. If Asuka was going to win that night, she'd have to avoid letting Bianca get a hold of her. Eventually, Belair was able to wear Asuka down with her power, and a huge body slam looked to completely deflate the Empress of Tomorrow. Belair definitely thought Asuka was out, slowly climbing to the top rope in preparation of her next move. But there's a chance Asuka was only pretending to be hurt, popping back to her feet to cut Belair off. Asuka looked to set up a super Hurricane Rana, but this also put her right back into close quarters with Belair, who immediately used the positioning to her advantage, lifting Asuka onto her shoulders. It didn't last long, with Asuka fighting free and then pulling on Belair's ponytail to bring her down. The second Belair was on the mat, Asuka dropped her with a powerful lung blower, regaining control in this incredible struggle. What made this match stand out was how Asuka and Belair were both so prepared for each other. Belair attempted the KOD, Asuka had grabbed the ropes to counter and pull herself free. A series of counters saw Belair duck Asuka's attempt to hit her with the poison mist. Then the two avoided various strikes from the other. And Asuka would avoid another attempt at the KOD, rolling Belair into a very tight armbar. Was this it? Had Bianca's luck run out? When you're as strong as Bianca Belair, you don't need luck. Fighting out of a situation that would have forced a tap out of nearly everyone else, Belair would power back to her feet and finally hit the KOD, putting Asuka away. Despite fighting valiantly, Asuka had no answer for the overwhelming force of Bianca, and the WWE Raw Women's Championship was going to stay around Belair's waist. Bianca used her greatest attribute, her strength, to get Asuka into the right position to finally put her away with the KOD. But don't get it twisted. Bianca's tenacity and heart also helped her last long enough in a highly competitive match to have the chance to find that opportunity. Another WrestleMania classic delivered by the women of WWE.
Asuka was almost perfect at WrestleMania, and it still wasn't good enough to earn the victory against Bianca Belair. The EST of WWE was able to evade Asuka's poison mist, and we all watched Belair shine when she defeated the Empress of Tomorrow with her patented KOD. For our final WrestleMania match in the Showcase of the Immortals, we go to the main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania 39, with Roman Reigns looking to extend a near 950-day reign by defending his undisputed WWE Universal Championship against Cody Rhodes. Reigns had captured the WWE Universal Championship at Payback 2020, defeating any and all challengers. He then upped the stakes at WrestleMania 38, when he defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship in another winner-takes-all matchup, thus creating the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. With the Bloodline watching his back at all times, Reigns would always find a way to escape his matches, still champion. Cody Rhodes had made his triumphant return at WrestleMania 38, appearing as Seth Rollins' mystery opponent and earning a big win. Unfortunately, an injury would take him out of action, but not before an incredibly gutsy performance in Hell in a Cell that saw him defeat Rollins again. At the 2023 Royal Rumble, Reigns would defeat Kevin Owens in a brutal matchup, while Cody Rhodes would make his return to action and win the Rumble match, setting up the WrestleMania main event. Cody had waited for years for this opportunity and swore that he would do everything to finally finish the story and capture the championship that had eluded the Rhodes family.
Whoa. Hold on a second here. What's going on?
Oh, hey, Cody.
Don't hey Cody me, Graves. Is 2K pulling a prank on me? Really? I mean, I'm honored to be on the cover and you guys didn't include Stardust, so thanks for that. But this is really what we're doing?
Cody, come on. It's literally the most recent match to ever take place at WrestleMania. And the good folks at 2K thought it was a fine way to wrap this up, and the match itself was pretty fantastic, too.
It was pretty fantastic, wasn't it? Fine. Look, if I learned anything from last year's 2K Showcase, it's that you have to face your losses. At WrestleMania 39, I lost to Roman Reigns. But Corey, I'm telling you, and I'm telling every member of the WWE Universe who plays 2K24, and that includes Roman Reigns, that the next time we do meet, nobody is going to save him, and I'll be the one getting his hand raised.
Besides, you're still on the cover.
And I'm thankful for that, Corey.
Cody Rhodes attempts to finish the story against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39.
There's still another chapter in this story, I promise you.
But for now, we relive the most recent chapter.
Cody Rhodes had the early momentum in his quest to finish the story, but a misguided trip to the ringside area would soon bring that to an end. With both Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa at ringside, I don't think anyone expected Roman Reigns to play it clean, but I do think there was a level of surprise as to how early and how blatant the cheating was going to be. Looking to return to the ring, Cody first rolled Roman in, and this somehow gave Solo his chance to grab a chair and plant it into Cody's ribs. How does the referee not see it? Did he really think Cody just got hurt really bad just trying to get into the ring? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. A frustrating moment for Cody and his fans, and it's now clear that this was not going to be an honorable encounter. Roman wasted little time using his drive-by dropkick to floor Cody. Reigns was primed to get back on the attack after the interference of Solo, looking to smash Cody Rhodes in front of the massive crowd. Reigns was cruising, not having yielded the momentum once he got it. But like Rhodes earlier, Roman would take a trip to ringside that would take his control away. After Cody slammed Roman into the mat, he'd climb to the apron, when again Solo interjected in the match, hitting Cody hard with his own belt. This time, though, the misdeed was too obvious, leaving the WWE official no choice but to finally eject Solo from the match. The Bloodline's best laid plans were going up in flames. Roman couldn't count on his enforcer doing the heavy lifting now. Desperate, Roman grabbed Cody's belt, looking to be disqualified perhaps. The referee grabbed Cody's belt. This left Reigns open for a huge super kick, and while Roman staggered, Cody hit Crossroads. In an instant, Roman's trajectory had changed drastically. It was all falling into place for Cody. Was this really it for the Tribal Chief? Things really broke down later on in the match, though. Cody would go for a big boot and unintentionally take the referee out. Roman hit a Superman punch, but it sent Cody into the ropes, and he answered with a hard clothesline, flooring both men. Sitting there, we're left wondering, now what do you do? Both men are motionless. There is no official, and you know that Roman Reigns will happily employ any tactic to steal the win. Cody would slowly get back to his feet first, giving the crowd hope that his victory was near. setting up for another crossroads. Cody was unable to see the Usos, who entered the ring and nailed a perfect tandem super kick. They followed up by 1D in the middle of the ring. But as they dragged Roman over Cody, a huge cheer erupted from the crowd. Were they big Roman fans all of a sudden? Quite the contrary. It would be Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who had defeated the Usos the night before for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, arriving on the scene to even the score. Now it was time for KO and Sami to get a measure of revenge on Roman. A stunner from Owens. A haluva kick by Zayn. Satisfied, the tag champs would turn their attention back to the Usos as the four would brawl back through the crowd away from the ring area. Suddenly we see Cody slowly crawling toward Roman with a cover. We believe he's got it wrapped up. Who is going to kick out of a stunner? And would anyone feel bad if Roman Reigns lost like that? Cody's adrenaline was high, and he could see that Roman was fading. Without anyone to help him, Cody would have to do this alone. One crossroads connected, but Cody wasn't done. He was going to make sure this ended the match. A second crossroads hit, but now Paul Heyman jumped onto the apron, hoping to distract the referee long enough to prevent any type of count that would crown Cody the new champion. But then, Solo Sikoa would appear and use his Samoan spike to obliterate Cody. You had to feel for Cody. All the work he'd put in to get back to this spot, and now the bloodline appeared, poised to make it all for nothing.
Here is your winner, and still the undisputed WWE Universal Champion,
absolutely heartbreaking turn of events for Cody Rhodes at the conclusion of last year's WrestleMania. Right when it looked like he had Roman Reigns all but vanquished, but that's for Cody to worry about. You got the win, and you've emerged victorious from all our historical WrestleMania matches. But there's still one last item on our agenda here today, and that's for you to decide who truly is the champion of WrestleMania. We've got a very special WrestleMania Rumble with 29 other superstars hoping to stake their claim to that very title. So take your pick and bring them into the ultimate battle to earn all the bragging rights. With so many legends to choose from, there's really no going wrong. For an event filled with historic performances, you may have just completed the most impressive. 21 victories against WWE's cream of the crop, reliving monumental moments of WrestleMania's past and even crowning your own personal champion of WrestleMania. You conquered giants, ended streaks, and rewrote stories looking to be finished. You displayed technical brilliance, brawled at ringside, and took to the air, showing mastery all along the way. For those that love sports entertainment, making that walk down the WrestleMania aisle is our biggest dream. Not everyone gets to realize it, but those that do cherish it forever. Hopefully you feel some of that appreciation, having had the chance to take a step in their shoes. There truly is no event like WrestleMania, a weekend where the biggest stars let it all hang out in front of the most voracious fans on the planet. We laugh at WrestleMania. We get angry at WrestleMania. And sure, we absolutely cry at WrestleMania. The grandest stage of them all is not just a clever phrase. This represents the pinnacle of our industry. This is our big game. This is our enormous festival. This is where we show the world that there is no one else that can do what we do. WrestleMania is where the biggest wins are earned, where the biggest memories are made. And this year, with WrestleMania 40, it's safe to say that things are gonna go from big to XL. On behalf of the folks at WWE 2K and all of WWE, thank you. Thank you for playing the 2K Showcase of the Immortals. Thank you for helping make WrestleMania the spectacular event it has become. And thank you, above all else, for being a member of our beloved WWE universe. I'm Corey Graves, and this has been one heck of a trip down memory lane. Man, I love WrestleMania.